and our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Mom left in a flesh.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
Gotta return some videotapes.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to the It's Lays podcast. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
I'm your $2 handjob, Mike.
I'm Creeping Colton.
And it's Jill.
And we are back for another one. We've reunited like, I don't know, Power Rangers creating Megatron or something. I think we're all still a little bummed out. St. Patrick's Day is over. I know Colton was messaging me feverishly. He's like, you sure we can't do another Leprechaun movie? Like, let's just do another Leprechaun movie, man.
Well, I just wanted to get it out of the way so we could be free for the rest of our days and not have to cover any more Leprechaun movies. Yeah.
All I can hope is that, right when we're about to finish it, we just all get alerts on our phone, like, A24 Leprechaun movie announced.
That'd
be sick. Actually,
the Leprechaun dealing with
Jennifer
generational
Aniston
trauma.
is back.
Oh my god, yes.
Ari Aster.
Because what else is she doing?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say Jennifer Aniston's getting to that point in her career where she's gonna have to make her like triumphant return to horror after she talked all that shit because she's got nothing else to do. So, how many more Friends reunions can you possibly do?
True.
Yeah. I comment as if I've ever watched Friends. I don't know. I have no interest in Friends.
I've never watched Friends either. I was always a How I Met Your Mother guy, which I think is just like the natural trajectory if you're just a little bit younger. I think you end up watching that instead.
I just feel like everybody on Friends, like there's probably lots of episodes that they drink Sprites and talk about how they're spicy. So that's just not my style, I guess.
Are you calling it white media? Or okay.
Yeah, sorry I offended you, Jill. I'm sorry.
Why is it spicy?
But you know what we're going to start with? What have you been consuming? What have you been watching? What have you been reading? What have you been listening to? All that good stuff. I can't remember who I started off with last time. So I'm going to just pick Jill because I forget. I don't really care. Maybe it was you last time. Maybe it wasn't. Oh, well, you can go again.
Okay, excellent. Well, I did a bit of reading, so
Colton's got his pen and pad out. He's ready.
He's
I'm
more
already
horror this time. Okay, it's not smut. Well, maybe one entry is a little bit smut. But
I don't know if I believe that you don't read smut or like smut tangentially related media.
Listen, I've been trying to read more horror, so that's what I've been doing. And I've been on the subreddit for, I think it's Extreme Horror Lit, and also the Splatterpunk subreddit. So I've been trying to read more of that. And so the big one,
of course, you want to read like the novelization of like Terrifier 3, the strong point of of that media is the literature.
I do have some of those, but I haven't read them yet. But
nice.
We'll see.
Thanks for judging
Jill
there eventually. Already.
It's okay.
Yeah, I never even really let her open her mouth yet. I'm already.
It doesn't hurt. I'm used to it. Well, the big one that I was looking forward to reading is called Full Brutal by Christopher Triana. And a lot of these are just like you're following psychopaths. And a lot of these are some sort of version of American Psycho. So this one follows a teenage girl who's a cheerleader, and she's a psychopath, and she wants to lose her virginity, so she starts becoming more promiscuous, but it's in a messed up kind of way. She tries to like seduce her teacher, and then things just kind of spiral as they do. And there's necrophilia, there's cannibalism, all that fun stuff. It was really good. I give it 5 stars. So
Oh.
If you're into that, Full Brutal.
I was just
really good.
imagining that this isn't the smut one that she was talking about.
Yeah.
This is the normal one.
It is normal, I guess. Yeah. I mean, there's. I wouldn't say this one is smut, but there are some spicy scenes, but messed up stuff just happens and it just overtakes everything.
Are your Goodreads reviews, are they kind of like weighted towards a lot of 5 stars, similar to how you give a lot of slays on the podcast? Or are you very selective about what you give a 5-star to?
I would say it's probably the same. Like, there's
Okay.
a lot of 5. There's a lot of 4. I feel like I do a lot of 5 and 4. And then there's like stuff I really hate and I'll give it like 1 star. So it really depends. I try not to, like, for books especially, go for things that I wouldn't like. So I kind of know what I would like and stay in my lane, if that makes sense. So with movies, it's much more different because I just kind of watch a lot of
It's less of a
stuff.
commitment, right? Like 90 minutes as opposed to a week.
Yeah. And I'm the type of person who I have to finish a book. It doesn't matter how crappy it is. Like, I have to do it. So it sucks if I find something I don't like. But another one I read is called The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. Also, another version basically of American Psycho, but it's following a young Korean American college student. And her parents are going through a divorce and her mom starts dating this like racist piece of shit white guy. And she just like fantasizes about killing him. And again, things just go where they go. Killing happens. And that one was pretty good too. I gave that one 4 stars. It wasn't as good as Full Brutal, but the book that I ended up with at the end was much different from the book that I started reading at the beginning. It was like very normal. So it is a like unassuming wild ride. And I see that one a lot on bookshelves, like at the store. And like that one is on, I think, Prime Reading. So if you have an Amazon subscription, you could read that one for free.
I didn't know Prime Reading existed.
I feel like that's
Really?
a States thing or something. I don't think that's a thing up here.
Actually?
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it, yeah.
I need you guys to look into this. There's also Kindle Unlimited, where it's like a subscription that you pay for.
I know
like,
that.
access
I've
to
heard of
more
that.
books.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Prime Reading is less titles, but they're
Colton
free.
definitely has a Kindle Unlimited subscription for all his reading.
Oh, 100%. I certainly don't Google whatever I'd be interested in reading, EPUB, PDF, you know. I certainly don't do that.
He'll get there when he gets back into books, which is going to happen, and we'll stay tuned for that.
I will, yeah. I was thinking about starting with like Morning Glory's Minotaur Milking or something like that. Just some light reading.
I'm a little salty because I let someone borrow that book and then they moved away, and I'm never going to see it again. So
yeah, that's just what happens every now and then with great literature, you know?
I'm never letting people borrow my books ever again because I like never get them back, and then I want to reread them and I have to go buy another copy. It's horrible.
Yeah, it sucks supporting, you know, small authors this day and age.
Another one I read, I think this is on Kindle Unlimited. It's a short story. It's only like 20 minutes it took me to read. It's called Food Noise by S.E. Howard. It's very similar to the movie Raw. If you've seen that one, then you know. It's pretty much like the same kind of plot, but just very shortened. So yeah, it's about this girl who's on some sort of weight loss drug, and she's lost a bunch of weight and feels great. And then her doctor takes her off of it because her insurance doesn't cover it anymore. And then she starts having these weird cravings for raw meat. And yeah, I'm not going to say anything else because I'll spoil it, but it's a fun little read. And then the last thing that I read was Savage Blooms by S.T. Gibson. That one is kind of like a fae / horror / smut book that takes place in Scotland, where this American guy and his friend go to investigate his grandfather's like ancestry, and they find themselves at this like gothic manor that's falling apart, and it's mysterious and mysterious things happen. and it also gets really spicy. That book for me, it was kind of long. It was like almost 500 pages, and I feel like not a lot happens, and then they set themselves up for a sequel with a cliffhanger at the end. And I kind of hate when there's a like when you have the climax right at the end of the book, like you have 20 pages left and like nothing's really happened yet. So that was a little upsetting because I love S.T. Gibson. I've talked about her books before. An Education in Malice, which was the Carmilla retelling. She did like a Brides of Dracula retelling and all that kind of stuff. So this one was a little different. I think I gave that one a 4 stars as well. But that's all I've been reading. I haven't really watched much. For Straight Jacket Talk, we just covered The Ring, the American adaptation from 2002, I believe it was. It was the first time I had seen that since I first watched it as a kid. So it was an interesting experience because I remember being terrified of that movie when I was a kid. I feel like everyone was like my age at that time.
The videotape was just so effective, especially like at that age when that movie came out.
Yeah, it had this like mystique to it, and I feel like it's super iconic. Oh,
yeah, that's
cute.
A cute addition.
I like
Rowan's
that.
holding up a cover of The Ring. Just looks like a VHS.
Looks like the
for, like, a Blu-ray or
VHS, yeah. I think it was like a Walmart exclusive or something.
That's neat.
Dang, Walmart. Okay.
It's only Blu-ray though, so pedestrian.
Well, you just have to wait to get your paws on a 4K. But yeah, I liked it. It's interesting to watch it in 2026 and see how it still has all these elements of a great film and like storytelling and tension. Naomi Watts is amazing. Never get bored of her. And it's still terrifying. There's a little bit of a fake out ending that I didn't remember. I was like, I remember this being scarier. And then it happened. I was like, okay, yeah, this is terrifying. I love the opening of the movie too. It reminded me a lot of Scream.
Yeah.
Did we cover that on this podcast or the original Ringu?
We did the one Jill's talking about, the American one.
Yeah.
That was an Exilia pick way back in the day.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember if we actually talked about it on the show or if I just happened to watch it, like rewatch it similar to Jill, like out of my own volition. But yeah, no, that Gore Verbinski one holds up at least in a lot of respects, in my opinion, especially the videotape still being a very effective, like little piece of horror there.
And isn't it crazy that the other movies he's done is like the first 3 pirate movies, like Pirates of the Caribbean?
those are bangers.
They are bangers. He makes bangers.
Yeah, I'll fight anybody on those. They're good.
They are. It's just an interesting filmography. You got this like horror movie that's iconic, and then you got pirates, which are also horror adjacent, I'd say at times.
Hey, he does have another horror movie in kind of like the mid 2010s, A Cure for Wellness, which I remember at the time it was like this Art Deco like wellness retreat horror that I really liked. It's incredibly long and it stars Dane DeHaan. It's been on my list to actually pick for the show a couple of times.
Okay.
And then he also just did that AI movie that I watched, that Berlinale, that I hated. Good luck, have fun, don't die. That stars Sam Rockwell. Oof. Tough watch, in my opinion.
No. I'm keeping my eye on you two, Cold and Jill, because I heard that little, trying to open the door there of like, pirates, it's kind of horror adjacent there.
Listen, there's like a quote in the first one where he says like, what is it? If you don't believe in ghost stories, you best start. Whatever the fuck the line is, I completely butchered it, but I can't remember. There's Curse of the Black Pearl. I mean, we've probably reviewed less horror movies on this, this show.
You're right, though. It is a ghost story. And so is The Ring, which I never really realized until now that it's a ghost story. So
you're only allowed to pick it once we go video so that we can watch Mike's reaction when that's your pick. And then we can screenshot it.
I think we should really do Ringu because I've seen when I was a kid, or adolescent, I should say, I watched like Ju-on, like the Grudge original Japanese movie, and Ringu, and I really liked the originals. That was like kind of my gateway into J-horror. But the American adaptations of both of those are like not bad, especially The Ring. So maybe I'll have to go back and watch Ringu and like never sleep again. So we'll see.
And the line Curse of the Black Pearl. you best start believing in ghost stories, Miss Turner. You're in one. And then all of them turn to like skeletons, and it's so badass. And I remember like 12-year-old Colton, 10-year-old Colton freaked the fuck out in theaters in Toronto. It was very badass.
Actually, it was pretty scary. I'm not going to lie. Like,
the old trailers where you
parts.
see like all of the zombies, like pirates walking on the bottom of the ocean going along and stuff. I mean, for that age, like a Disney family adventure movie, like there is a lot of horror elements in it. Probably not right for the podcast, but I mean, it's not quite a stretch as like, I don't know, if I pick Jurassic Park 3 or something, you know, it's a bit more of a stretch, I would say.
It's my pick after this, right?
Yeah, don't talk shit about Jurassic Park 3, okay? That's coming.
We doing pirates now? I'm changing my pick to pirates. I'm writing that down. And then I watched Zombie for the first time, the Fulci movie.
Banger.
It is a banger. It took me a long time to watch it, but Anthony is a big fan. He put it on, and yeah, I was really into it. I like the zombie design, like how they look ashy and just like dusty, I guess. It's like really unique. The shark scene was amazing.
Oh, of course.
So
legendary.
good.
I was really hooked by that. And then like the eyeball scene was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And the ending scene as well, I thought was kind of bleak. And I don't know. I really like the whole thing. So I've been watching a lot of zombie movies. I don't know if I talked about Dawn of the Dead. Did I talk about that last time? I can't remember.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The
I
remake.
rewatched.
Yeah.
No, the original.
No, wait, I'm thinking Night of the Living Dead, I think.
Yeah.
Did you talk about that?
I did.
You were prepping to go visit scenes. I remember that.
Okay, yeah. So I rewatched Dawn of the Dead. I don't know if I talked about last time, but if not, I did. And then the last thing that I watched was Queens of the Dead, which is the debut film of Tina Romero, George Romero's daughter.
Is that one newer? It is, right? The last year or so?
2025, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. Like if I were in a zombie apocalypse, I would want it to happen in a drag club because it was funny. It was awesome to see like glammed up zombies like in drag. I just love the way they looked. She also like kind of retained like that blue green like flesh zombie flesh that her dad used, and she threw a bunch of like Easter eggs from her dad's movies in there. But I thought it was really fun. I think I gave that 4 stars also. But Willow also did a really nice review on that movie, and I was talking to her about it for a while. So yeah, if you're into zombie movies and you like drag and you want a gay zombie movie, that's the one for you. And that's all I've been up to. Mike, what you been up to?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's funny, I kind of have the like opposite of you. I haven't looked at a book in like a month. Like, not even touched one. Normally, I always have 1 to 2 books in my bag, like, all day, every day. And I literally haven't even had a book in my bag in the last month because I've just, like, been watching stuff, like, to save my life. So, I watched a lot of movies this month. I'm not going to get into them all because I just looked at my Letterboxd, and in 22 days... And this is counting like when we watched like Leprechaun and the couple that I talked about before that. But like that was a week into this month, and like all in all, I have watched 18 movies this month, which is like a lot. So I'm just gonna kind of like give a little speed run, Cole's notes, Cliff Notes for Americans, rundown of like some of the highlights. So I have to say, I finally, a couple weeks ago, and this was when I was not dirt poor from buying a new computer. And like an idiot, I decided to splurge on, my local store had 1 copy of the limited edition Arrow 4K with the slipcase and a poster of Basket Case.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like we love Hand and Lauder here. Some of us do. So we're mostly Frankenhooker stands.
Friendly, yeah.
Most of us.
Colton might like Basket Case. There's not a lot of women in that, I don't think. So,
come on.
Low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Low hanging fruit is right. So it was my first time watching it in years.
I don't think I've seen that since I was a kid.
Yeah, it was probably like, I would say, like maybe in university, we like downloaded it and watched it at a party. That was probably the last time I saw it. I kept wanting to rewatch it lately, and then I said, no, if I'm going to rewatch it now that there's a 4K out, I want to get the 4K. So I saw that and was like, if I wait to buy this, as we were talking about last episode, like the limited edition version is going to be gone. And weirdly, at that store, they were both the same price. So I was like, I'm just going to get the limited one because I might want to put the poster up. And I do love a good slipcover, as does Ro, because he has. Of course. Ro always goes for the slipcovers of everything. Especially
sometimes I get real wild too. If I get something without a slipcover and then I see someone online that will like sell just the slipcover cheap, I'll pick the slipcover up. You gotta do it.
Yeah, I ordered actually. I pre-ordered like years ago when it first came out. When Scream Factory did the Return of the Living Dead collector's edition, and they offered 3 different slipcovers with 3 different new artwork on it, and I pre-ordered it directly from Scream Factory, like the day that they put the pre-orders up. And when I got my package, it actually came with 2. It came with all of them. It had the slipcover on it, and then it came with 2 flattened ones in the package too, with the different artwork, so you can like swap out and put the one that you like on, which I thought was really cool. And I'm like, I bet those. I kind of want to go on eBay and be like, how much are these worth to freaks like Ro?
It's like real life Letterbox where we can change the posters.
Oh yeah, Letterboxd. It really is though. It's like Patron. I patroned Scream Factory. Yeah, so Basket Case on 4K looks phenomenal. I urge anybody who likes that movie or his films or loves like kind of fun like grindhouse exploitation cinema of the early 80s, check that one out on 4K because it looks excellent. I also decided, I don't even know why I decided to watch this, but randomly on Friday the 13th, instead of watching one of the like core Friday the 13th movies, I decided to watch Jason Goes to Hell, which technically doesn't have Friday the 13th in the title.
The final
but it's because I love it. It's such a good movie. Jason Goes to Hell is my theory, and I need to get the 4K collector's edition because I'm pretty sure it has like a director commentary on it. But I've always had a theory that like American Psycho 2, this was a script that someone wrote as like a standalone movie that's just like a horror movie, like a body hopping horror movie. And they just added like 3 or 4 pages to it to like tie it into Friday the 13th, and then just the rest of it is just like could be any random movie. Like if you took the couple of mentions of Jason out of this, like it could just be a movie about a body hopping serial killer. Like it's kind of wild. I love it. It's so good. It's got like great acting and great direction.
That one, they also have the what I lovingly call the semen demons in it, right? Because Goes to Hell, they connect it, don't they, to Freddy's Dead? Do those things show up?
Yes. Yeah, because at the end of the movie, he gets like dragged down to hell by these like giant hands that come out of the ground, and his mask like comes off and stays on the top of the like dirt.
Yeah.
And then at the end, like as they're, it's like, oh, it all wrapped up and they tied the bow on it right before the credits roll, it cuts back to the mask and Freddy's hand pops up out of the ground and like pulls it down and he laughs, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. Because that was when New Line bought the rights to Freddy, so they were like, we can finally make Freddy versus Jason, and then they didn't. It was an absolute disaster.
You take that back.
It was terrifying.
Oh, girl, I mean, listen, it did give us the probably one of the greatest scenes in horror of Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child calling Freddy an F-slur. I have that on video and GIF and about 8 folders on my phone, and I'm constantly using it as a reaction to all of my friends.
Put it on the soundboard.
And it also gave me a night full of a bad stomach at a sleepover when I was young.
Why?
Ooh.
It just upset me. It was one of the first horror movies I saw, and it was super gory. I remember, and I felt like sick
What about that soundtrack, though?
I can't even remember that. I was too busy.
He was too traumatized, Jill.
Yeah.
My God.
We just got it on vinyl. It's amazing.
It's definitely a hardcore new metal soundtrack.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have loved it if I was paying much attention to it.
And Catherine Isabel. Got to talk about
Catherine
her.
Isabel, we love. Yeah. Monica Keena, lots of queens. So I also decided to. The other night I was just like, what am I going to watch? I want something like mind-bending, and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to watch, and so I decided to throw on one of my favorite movies of all time, which I still think we should do on this podcast, and I will pick it eventually, and that is the iconic Ken Russell movie, The Devils.
Dude, it's been on my list. It's been on my list for years. Like, ever since I joined the podcast, it's been on my list. It's just finding the right time to pick what, in my opinion, is like an instant slay. Is just like, we got to find where it fits.
Oh, for sure. You don't just throw that into the schedule willy-nilly. Like, it really needs to be the right... You're right. I will give you that. Like, the right time. And yeah, you just... It's got to open itself up. But yeah, that's literally one of the greatest movies ever. It's an absolute mindfuck. If anybody hasn't seen it, but you've seen other Ken Russell movies, you kind of know what you're in for. It's just a visually insane, blasphemous, over-the-top, like, hallucinatory experience like you will never experience again. And I hate that Warner Brothers owns it and just doesn't want to do anything with it because I guess it's too offensive to like Christians. I feel like there was a time period where we could easily like get a version of it on, you know, like Blu-ray or something because nobody gave a fuck about that. But now like the culture is like swinging back in that direction.
It's shifted in such a way, especially if Paramount acquires them, right? I don't know if we'll ever get a Blu-ray of it, you know? But I watched it a few years ago when it was that the marketing beats going around were saying like, I don't know, the most banned movie of all time or whatever is now available on Shudder. And I remember I actually used Shudder back then, so I checked it out as soon as it hit Shudder. Yeah, I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, it's just excellent. And there's multiple different versions too. There's like versions with like a couple extra minutes and yeah, it's wild. Everybody, if you can, and Criterion sometimes puts it on, but the rights are so fucked up that every time they put it on the Criterion channel, it only is for a month and then it leaves again for like 2 years. And it was recently on there, so like you can, if you're savvy enough, you can find it online easily. So I would definitely suggest doing that and checking it out because it's a movie unlike any other you will ever watch in your life. I also finally caught a film that I've been, and it's actually on Shudder, and I'm pretty sure that's where I watched it. I've been excited about for like a year, and that is the documentary Chain Reactions that they put out about Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh,
and
I do. I gotta write this down.
Oh, it's wonderful. So it's like a Talking Heads movie where they interview like I think it's 5 prominent people in like film and horror and entertainment about their experiences and reactions and relationship with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it is absolutely fucking excellent. Stephen King is one of the people they interview, so he's one of the segments. Karen Kusama, who we've done on the podcast before, is one of them. One of my favorite people in the universe, Alexandra Heller-Nicholas, who is a film critic and works with Arrow. She's one of them. Patton Oswalt, Takashi Miike, like literally it's just this insane
star-studded
variety of people, and they all have like completely different sort of takes on it, and it's I feel like it's probably a little bit under 2 hours, but it's definitely worth checking out. It's kind of like a collector's edition supplement of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just all dumped into one feature-length movie. So it's like the sort of thing that you would see in bits and bobs on like the second disc, right? But they just made a movie out of it, and like you do not frequently see Stephen King being interviewed for like 20 minutes about a movie he loves. Like that's not something that he, I don't think, does very much anymore because, you know, he's Stephen King. He doesn't have to do shit all. So that shows you how much he cares about this movie. And it's really interesting seeing its like impact on other filmmakers, and like it's just like the way that it like infects their lives and like affects their work. Like Takashi Miike's talking about how it like pretty much influenced every movie he ever made is like phenomenal. I love it. And then I'm like, yeah, I can see it. It makes sense. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, it's like, you know, an hour and a half of torture. So that's like his whole fucking filmography. So yeah, definitely check that out. I rewatched Witchboard, which we've done Witchboard 2 on the podcast. I took a sick day the other day. I wasn't feeling well, and I said, fuck it, I'm just gonna like lie on my couch all day and watch like movies that I've seen before or garbage, and Witchboard kind of ticks both of those boxes. Like, it's not the worst movie ever, but it's like certainly not an award winner, but like it's fun. I love a good Ouija board movie. I love movies with like characters who have giant hair that's not a wig, and Tawny Katane ticks that box. And I just want to give a shout out. The last thing I'll mention is a movie that I watched on Criterion Channel maybe like 4 or 5 days ago, and I had never heard of it before. It's like a rediscovery that I don't think has been in print in like 25 years, and it's called Eye of God, and it is directed by, Tim Blake Nelson.
Oh,
who
nice.
I didn't know. Yeah, I wasn't like, I knew the name, but I couldn't figure it out. And then I'm like, oh yeah, he did like the Othello movie and all sorts of other stuff. So
yeah, a bunch
it was
of Coen Brothers movies.
Yeah. And it was his directorial debut, and I do believe that he did write it as well. Let me double check. Yes, yeah, he wrote it as well. It's wild. It was so fucking good. It's this like, it's like a drama with a little bit of thriller elements, and it opens with this like teenage boy being found at night, and he's like covered in blood and is mute and just refuses to talk and is like practically catatonic. And then it kind of jumps back in time a couple of months, and you kind of like have to piece together how he got there. And it's essentially about him and this young girl played by Martha Plimpton, who is one of my favorite actresses in the universe. She's insanely good in this. And she meets him, but she's also just gets married to this guy who just gets out of prison, and she met him, like, I guess she was writing him letters in prison, and he gets out and meets up, and they get married. And it's in this like small town in like Southern America, and it is just so fucking good. I urge everybody, if you have Criterion, to go watch it. It's not very long. I think it was probably about an hour and a half, and it's just a really, really, not even an hour and a half. Yeah, it's 84 minutes. Really, really good, kind of heartbreaking drama. And that's not something that I've been watching a lot lately, because I've been sort of like, you know, in horror mode and trash. So yeah, Eye of God, check it out. 1997. It was wonderful. Ro, what have you been watching?
Yeah, so I watched a couple things. I did a couple rewatches. I rewatched Kinds of Kindness.
Nice.
And I actually went up a whole star on Kinds of Kindness. I enjoyed it more so this time around. I watched it with Exilia. Exilia had never seen it, and she was interested in checking it out. And I also rewatched Deadstream, which it's still on. I'm circling it for some point.
Why?
I love Deadstream. I've seen it so many times. I watched it, not the normal guy that I always watch movies with at work, but this guy, I would say he's like pretty amateur at horror. Like, we just watched Hostel the other week. It was like his first time ever seeing Hostel. It blew his mind. But he's big on found footage, and he was like kind of looking for like a found footage he wouldn't necessarily like have watched, or he had never heard of this, but he also wanted something kind of funny. And I'm like, oh, like this is very Evil Dead, like meets found footage. And we watched that. He ended up really enjoying it. Also did the banger rewatch movie 43. I don't have to say anything else.
It's embarrassing, Rowan, seeing you giving 4 stars to that movie and reviewing it. You know, it's just it's awful.
Love it. I'm just a movie 43 lover.
Ugh.
New stuff I checked out. I checked out War Machine, which was Netflix's new movie. This was kind of not really by choice. This was like someone at work put it on. The same guy I showed Deadstream to, and he's like, oh, I know I put this Netflix movie on. I'm just going to see what it's about. So I was like, all right, cool. I like sat down, watched it. And this might be the worst thing I've seen in like years. It's pretty bad. Like,
oh my God. I can't believe you're saying that about my coworker, Alan Richson.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry. It's not good. It's like, I thought when I sat down, like I didn't see a picture or what it was about. It already started. And I was like, oh, what's this about? And he's like, oh, I don't know. It's like some war movie or something. So I was like, oh, okay. So I'm sitting down and I thought I'm just watching like this like Iraq war movie. And then there's just some sort of transformer thing that lands and starts killing everybody. And it's so bad. It's not good. Like this is the purest example of like when people are like, oh, this must be AI written and generated. Like, it had to be. It was so inexplicably bad, which is like kind of hard to do because I feel like you should be able to make it somewhat entertaining, just like alien transformer things shooting the fuck out of people and killing them. And this managed to not make any of that fun whatsoever. And like tried to play it real serious too, like trying to have commentary on like war vets and stuff and how you should respect them. And yeah, it's just wasn't good, guys. I feel like most of the rest of the world, I checked out Louis Theroux's documentary on Netflix, Inside the Manosphere.
I was going to watch that as well. It was one of the few documentaries that broke through to me where I was like, oh, maybe I'll turn it on.
I mean, it was all right for a watch. It's not very long. Obviously, I feel like his probably most famous one is the Scientology one. And I remember watching that and I loved it. This one was all right. Netflix did a very good marketing thing where, you know, in the previews, they're showing you pictures of like Andrew Tate and like all these big manosphere guys. And literally none of those guys are in the movie. They just show like clips of them. He basically, I think the biggest person he interviews is some guy named Myron Gaines that's like fresh and fit.
That fucking loser.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome though. Watch it. You know, if you've paid attention to the news since this came out, that Myron Gaines guy's like engagement and his girlfriend and everything, like he's a single man now. Thoreau basically just like destroyed this guy's love life because he's a fucking idiot. So you probably shouldn't in a documentary say that she doesn't have a choice. You're gonna have multiple partners and multiple wives. And then she's like, what did you just say? And yeah, it didn't work out for him. But yeah, it was interesting. He did a lot of like there was like a British man, you know, manosphere TikToker guy, like I'd never heard of him. And there was another guy it was people I'd never heard of other than that Myron Gaines guy.
It's because you're not inside the manosphere.
Yeah, I'm not red pilled enough. So, although it seems these guys were against the red pill. Oh, that's a lie. He interviews that Sneeko guy also.
Oh, God. It's just embarrassing. Yeah. I know all these guys from like early YouTube and then also like other podcasts I'd listen to dunking on them or like interviewing them, and then they're just so embarrassing.
That's kind of how I know them. I watch a lot of like his on Pike. So I was like, yeah, like I see him making fun of these guys. Let's talk about some bangers.
No, I want to know Mike's reaction because he made a certain face when you said Hassan Piker.
Sorry, I gotta scrape myself off my chair. Anyone got a spatula?
I checked out Shelter, which was
Jason Statham movie.
I'm trying not to laugh. It is the newest Jason Statham movie, which I'm assuming they shot, once you see like the towns, it obviously shot in like Ireland or something, but very Newfoundland coded. Like at first I was like, oh, did he shoot this like in Atlantic, Canada? Because at the beginning he's like lives in a lighthouse and, you know, it's like very coastal. I thought it was pretty, I mean, you know, it's a Statham movie. You know what you're getting. You're not getting like...
It's in like the beekeeper slot. coming up this time of year.
It's not as good as The Beekeeper. Like, The Beekeeper is pretty wild, entertaining. This is like a lot more serious of a movie, but I liked it, and it's always the same shit. It's like, he works for a secret government agency and, he was shut down, but now, he's come out and he's gonna kill the government and everybody that's trying to kill a kid, and they kill his dog in it. So, it's like, hey, it's Statham's John Wick, essentially.
Oh, my God.
I don't know. I had a good time with it. Like, I thought it was pretty good. Also, a lot of, like techno music and house music. So it's, like, a lot of, like, Statham in clubs with, like, techno strobe lights playing and him just killing guys, which is always a good time.
So, like, literally Statham's John Wick, then?
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Essentially. I don't know what it is about Statham. I really like it. I think it's also because, like, all of his early stuff, it's like Statham can actually act. Like, he's been in, like, real movies. And it was like, then he just was like, no, I'm just going to do this. More power to him. I mean, I'm sure he's making money. But it's like he was in all, like, the early Guy Ritchie stuff, and he was, like, fantastic in those, and, more power to him. Me and Colton, we saw Undertone, A24 on Now. It'll be, it's already out. You can go check it out on Now Slain. I took the kid. We went and saw Goat, which is the new Sony animation film about basketball. It's like produced by Steph Curry.
And the reason that movie last year, Him, had to change its title. Its original title was Goat.
Yeah.
Oh.
There you go. I didn't know that, but
yeah.
I had a really good time with this. If you like it's very much in the animation style of like the Spider-Verse animated stuff. It's like almost the exact same style, but I really liked it. It was cute. It's like a, very Space Jam-ish, except with animals. I thought it was a great time. She loved it. I loved it. There was quite a few people there, which is weird because I feel like we're on like at least 2 months. This has been out in the theater, and there was still like quite a few people there. Now, I guess it was March break, so people were out with their kids and stuff. I think all the other things I saw, I just checked out a couple more Oscar things that I kind of missed before the Oscars. I checked out The Secret Agent. I got to see that. I enjoyed that quite a bit. I thought it was very good. It's long. It's a long one.
Were you also a little bit confused?
Yes.
When I watched the movie at TIFF, it is long. I think it's like 3 hours long. And also Wagner Moura, who was nominated for Best Actor, he plays, I think, 3 different characters throughout its runtime. And it's all told like not in order. Anyways, it was definitely a vibe, and I liked a lot of it as well, but I was just like, I don't know if I could sit here and tell you the narrative of this movie. Like, not much of a clue what's going on.
Well, so that was kind of the thing. Like, I was telling Exili about it afterwards, and I couldn't really explain it to her, but it's like I kind of knew what was going on when I was watching it. But Wagner Moura, just what an attractive man. Like, just a screen presence, attractive man. And also, Mike, you might enjoy this one. I believe one of the last performances of Udo Kier is in this also.
Nice.
And he's fantastic. And like he's not a big role, but he's awesome in this. It's a great movie. I thought it was pretty good. And I checked out Sentimental Value. I checked that out today, actually, this morning. And I thought it was all right. I mean, I don't think I was big on it like everyone else. A lot of 4 and 5 stars for it. This was like a 3-star territory. Like, the performances are good. The performances are good. I just wasn't like, the story was kind of whatever to me. I didn't have any like emotional connection to what was going on.
Yeah, I think where you land on that movie kind of winds up being how strongly you relate to like Stellan Skarsgård's character, like that reconciliation with the father.
Yeah.
Which, just in my own personal life, I definitely should, like, that should be, like, hitting me hard. But for whatever reason in this movie, I wasn't really emotionally moved by it by the end of it. I just found he was a complete asshole and, kind of the other things in the movie I just felt like I've seen before. So, it was a weird miss for me. That was one of those that I was really looking forward to going into TIFF throughout the whole year. And I landed positively on it. I thought it was good, but I definitely thought that was going to be like a 4.5 sort of.
Yeah, so did I.
Me.
I was pretty much in the same boat. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna love this, and then just sadly, I was like mediocre on it.
Yeah, I'm kind of happy to see you log it because I was considering rewatching it as well, just to see like, oh, was I in the wrong headspace? Was it like my third movie of the day or something when I saw it? But to see like you actually just log it as one of the only things you watched that day and give it a 3, I don't know. Maybe it's just not for everybody.
Yeah, and then I'm not going to talk about them, but the only 2 other things I saw is I saw the original Ready or Not because I had never seen it, and then I went and saw the new Ready or Not because me and Colton directly after this we'll be talking about it, so that'll be out before you're listening to this. So
yeah,
go listen to what we have to say. Anyway, Colton, let us know your thoughts there. What you've been watching?
Yeah, as you mentioned, obviously we saw Undertone and Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, or if you just watched the movie called Ready or Not, Here I Come. They dropped the 2 and it's cleaner, and they should have did that in the marketing as well. But yeah, you can listen to our Now Slangs on that. Leading up to the Oscars, kind of similar to Rowan, I was just checking out a few things, but not necessarily what I missed, more so like Best Picture winners from the past. Yeah. I had this great idea, scheduled out certain big, glaring blind spots for me of Best Pictures throughout the years. And of course, I didn't wind up watching like any of them other than The Apartment from 1960.
Oh my God.
So I've never seen it. Okay. So I loved it as well. I thought it was excellent. It's my third movie I've seen directed by Billy Wilder. Like I saw Sunset Boulevard, absolutely loved it. Double Indemnity. But yeah, I don't know. I'm one of those people that have a really hard time watching movies that are basically before, I don't know, even like the 2000s. I'm like terrible like that, where I find usually, I know Mike's rolling his eyes, and probably a lot of our listeners are as well. And if Willow's here listening, she's definitely like, this is embarrassing to say that you've only seen, 3 Billy Wilder movies. And no joke, you go like before 1960, I've probably seen like 15 movies like before that time. Like, yeah, I know it's embarrassing, but yeah, like trying to get into watching a lot of those older movies, I'd watch stuff like Casablanca and it not really be for me, or I'd watch Citizen Kane and be like, okay, I understand why people like it, but I don't like love the movie. Billy Wilder's earlier movies, like, Sunset Boulevard or Double Indemnity, were like the few ones that I'd watch and I actually loved. Like, and I felt like, oh, okay, these have a lot of the trappings of what I see in like modern movies. It's just they're kind of like of their time, and a lot of like the stylistic sensibilities, like the editing is more modern, the acting isn't completely over the top. It just feels like what I kind of get when I watch a modern movie in a lot of ways, which I it's maybe a terrible way to describe these movies of their time. But The Apartment, I turned it on. It was like, on a Monday. Stars Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine, and as soon as Shirley MacLaine hits the screen as like this elevator girl, with this like will they won't they kind of rom-com drama, like you instantly fall in love with her. It's like one of those performances like Meg Ryan in When Harry Met Sally, or God, what's like another one? I don't know, when I watched like 500 Days of Summer the first time, where you just love Zooey Deschanel. Like there's certain like roles in rom-coms where it instantly when like exactly Leprechaun 3 with God, what's her name, Lee Armstrong, it's the same thing. So yeah, she came on screen, it
Shirley
was completely
MacLaine, the original manic pixie dream girl.
well kind of, right? In this movie she actually kind of is. So anyway, she hit the screen, I was instantly in love. Very endearing sort of character, and a really weird plot to this movie that I was just like, was this something people did in the 60s? It revolves around a guy trying to move up the corporate ladder, so he lets his bosses sleep with their mistresses in his apartment. So he'll stay late at work when they take the mistresses to his apartment. They do their thing. He goes home and then like cleans up after them, and then goes back to work to do it all over again. So anyways, very strange premise. But when I was watching it, I thought all the characters were so endearing. Once again, like the stylistic sensibilities were a lot more like to what I like in modern movies. And just a lot of weird little quirks like from the time period to make it like authentically feel like the 60s. That, I don't know, you watch something like Mad Men, and I love Mad Men, but it was made nowadays. It doesn't have like all of the actual equipment that would be in an apartment to completely make it look like the 60s. There was shit in there that I've never seen in other movies that I'm like, oh, this is a weird thing they're interacting with. Like, I didn't even conceive that this existed. So anyways, the Apartment, I loved it.
It's
I thought it was
such a
great.
banger. one of the few movies I watched on Tubi, and literally as soon as I finished watching it, I bought the 4K from Kino Lorber like that night. I just ordered it.
Yeah, and also I will say, like, Billy Wilder, like, had me completely in his palm the entire movie, where all of the twists and turns, anyone with half a brain, like, if you weren't fully engrossed by the movie, you'd be able to know everything coming ahead. It was just like, I was shocked, as you discover whose mirror in the couch, it belonged to, and all these little silly things. Anyways, great movie. Gets way darker and serious near the end than I expected. But yeah, I mean, obviously old Best Picture winner. I'm sure I'm not shocking anybody by saying, 1960s The Apartment is a great movie, But I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then, yeah, the Oscars happened. I just want to take a minute that I think it was a big year for horror at the Oscars. Like, Weapons was nominated for one award, and Amy Madigan won it, which was awesome. And then Frankenstein kind of ran away with the Tech Awards, even though I'm not a big fan of that movie. And it is good, and technically in a lot of aspects. Then obviously Sinners, it had like the most nominations of any movie ever, and it still walked away with like 4 pretty prominent awards. So it was just interesting as a horror fan watching it. I know, like, probably most of our listeners don't really care about the Oscars, and most people on this podcast don't care about the Oscars. But when I was watching it, I just kind of saw a surge of horror there this year, and I'm kind of going to be keeping an eye going forward to see if this is kind of every year you get a couple of really strong horror entries that actually get some awards and some recognition, because, I mean,
hopefully,
as we've covered many excellent movies on this podcast that didn't get any sort of recognition at all from like the industry or their peers. It's just, hopefully things are very, very slowly changing after almost 100 years of this award show.
I mean, when Demi was nommed for The Substance, I knew she wasn't going to win it, but I was like, even her getting this nomination is kind of wild.
It's big.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, Amy Madigan was kind of that nomination this year, right? Where it's like, she wasn't marketed to be in Weapons. She is in, the last 40 minutes of the movie. A very big, out there, over the top, zany, kind of crazy performance, that just like ends in like this like eruption of blood and gore and whatnot. It's not normally what people go for at this sort of ceremony. So I did love seeing her winning right at the top of the night. And then also Conan using Weapons as kind of like his vehicle to completely open the show, like by parodying it. It was so much fun as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed it overall. I mean, production wise and whatnot, it was kind of shit. And, not every single winner I loved, but, for the Oscars, I thought it was an all right showing, especially if you're watching it just to see some horror movies to get some recognition. So I did like it in that regard. A few other things I checked out at the theaters. I checked out How to Make a Killing. Is that an A24 movie?
You should know.
I think, as I ask, I think it is, weirdly enough. Jill, I don't know. You seem to be moving your pen. I wasn't sure if you knew or not.
No, I have
no idea.
Okay. Yeah.
No, it's it's a Studio Canal movie and Blueprint Pictures.
All right. Well, for whatever reason in my head, I thought it was like distributed by A24 or something. But anyways, it doesn't really matter. This is a new movie starring Glenn Powell that it was out for a couple of weeks before I checked it out. And the whole premise of the movie is essentially he's born into what's supposed to be like a billionaire family where he has this like windfall inheritance coming down the pike, but his mother got pregnant at an early age, and basically she was completely like divorced from the family and sent out to kind of make her own way. And essentially his mother passes away, and on her deathbed she tells him, don't settle for the life that you have, fight for the life you deserve. And he kind of interprets that as, I'm going to go kill off all these billionaires and get my windfall inheritance. And I will say it works in some ways. Like, I think in the main way, I don't know if Glenn Powell is the right person to kind of be playing the, like, down on his luck, doing anything to make ends meet sort of guy. Like, you look at him and instantly he just looks like Hollywood, handsome dude.
Rich.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Instantly, right? Like, looks like a silver spoon guy, right? So I think in that portion of the movie, he wasn't that great. But once he starts making some money and, obviously becomes like a millionaire, even at like kind of the midpoint of this movie, you can start kind of buying more into like his playboy millionaire sort of mold that he's falling into. And a lot of the ways in which he kills people is pretty fun in the movie. I will say he plays it like pretty much all the time with like a winking at the camera and smiling sort of way, which not all the kills are like those sorts of kills. So some of them are pretty horrific or, terrible. So it was the sort of thing where I think tonally it was a little bit weird, and I didn't always love his performance, but I mean, I did like the movie overall. Margaret Qualley's in there as kind of like this woman that's waiting for him to get his windfall inheritance, and then once he's finally incredibly wealthy, she'll kind of give him a shot. So she's like another motivator, and obviously she's just like unbelievably hot in the movie. I mean, that's what she's basically there for. So yeah, overall, good watch. I did enjoy it. Doesn't probably wind up the way you'd fully expect, but it was, you know, I enjoyed the journey essentially at the theaters. And the other thing I saw was just it's making headlines now as like, I don't know, the biggest original, they say original, but it's based on a novel, movie in theaters right now, Project Hail Mary, the new Ryan Gosling, what is it, Lord and Miller movie. And yeah, I saw this out in IMAX. It was like an early, what they call the fan screening, so it was like 4 or 5 days before it opened. And this one has been marketed now for probably almost a year as this big, like, 4-quadrant, appeals to anybody, absolute crowd pleaser. Everybody will love this. And, I mean, it pretty much is that. It's the sort of thing when I watched it, I'm not even really sure why it had, like, a PG-13 rating, really. Like, it seems, like, ready for anybody. Whenever he curses in the movie, he always, like, makes up, like, a fake name, like, you know, instead of like saying fuck, you'll say like, I don't know, Fuddruckers or something stupid. Like, it feels like those movies that you've seen before where it's just like, oh, they're supposed to be cursing but they can't curse.
Yeah,
very similar to the Andy Weir's other novel, The Martian. It's largely just you're spending time with Ryan Gosling alone in space trying to basically save the world, save the universe. And basically the premise for this one is that the sun is being slowly drained, or it's dying, and in 30 years, essentially, the sun's going to go out, the temperature is going to rise, half of us are going to die from starvation, and the other half of us are probably going to kill each other, so they got to really make this sort of Hail Mary project work, being launched out into like the outer limits of space to try and come with some sort of solution to save the sun. The one thing that kind of keeps him company, I guess if you've somehow avoided the trailers and you don't know at all about what the premise of this movie is, I guess it's a spoiler. It happens like 45 minutes in. But he winds up, once he's sent out there, all of his company that he sent with dies, the other 3 or 4 people, and he winds up making friends with another creature that was sent out there from his civilization to basically figure out how the world is ending. And it's this weird little rock alien. It looks like a rock crab. It's called Rocky. He has no face and, you know, can't really communicate. He's all puppeteered and pretty janky in the movie and basically only communicates via like what we would call whale song. So very interesting, weird character that they had to build the whole movie and production around having this weird little rock crab sort of character for Ryan Gosling to interact with, because they had to do all these things like build the whole set like 5 feet off the ground so the puppeteers could be underneath. They had to very much map out where this thing could go and that sort of thing. So it is a little bit of like a feat of filmmaking, because apparently they didn't really use CGI or visual effects for Rocky.
Oh, nice.
Because they wanted like something tangible for Ryan Gosling to act off of and not just like a tennis ball. So it is pretty interesting in that regard.
Yeah, because watching movies where they act at a tennis ball is boring.
Exactly, right? So there is a lot of like filmmaking cheats and very like little interesting things in this movie that they actually did it in camera that I really enjoyed. And I will say they make you care about Rocky, this little weird rock alien. I mean, I was fighting back tears at certain points, you know, putting him in danger. It's you know, it gets to you after like 2 hours of, you know, spending time with him. So I really enjoyed it overall. I will say there's some stuff like near the end where it does the Lord of the Rings Return of the King sort of thing where it ends, no joke, about 5 times. Like, it's literally like, oh, okay, that's a bit of a bittersweet ending, but whatever. And it's like, oh no, okay, there's more. Oh, that's a little bit of a downer ending, but all right, you know, we know what happens. Okay, no, there's more. There's like another action sequence, and what the hell is happening here? It's like, okay, this must be the ending. And no, there's still more. So it was the sort of thing I definitely felt like I was fine after the first ending, and it goes on for like another 20 minutes. And then also there's just, I don't know, there's a lot of flashbacks in the movie, and they don't always hit what I would say at like the most opportune time. It would be like, I don't know, Rowan saving a child. And we're all like celebrating that Rowan saved this child. It's like, good job, Rowan, we're applauding. And then we get a flashback and it's like, oh, but Rowan's also a murderer. And he actually didn't want to leave his house to save the child. He just happened to be there. And it's like, okay, like, sure, I guess that makes Rowan slightly worse guy, obviously, but he still saved the child in like what we're watching. So there's just some weird timing of character reveals in the movie. Not quite as heinous as that, but just kind of, I was like, why didn't you just put this in like the first 40 minutes of the movie? Why are you putting this in at like the most triumphant moment of the movie, especially when it doesn't impact what we just saw? So some strange shit like that. But overall, yeah, very enjoyable. I was a grown-ass man. I was sat next to just like little girl and this other big guy on my right side, and I was just like fighting back tears at one part in the movie where I was like, I can't just like burst out crying like in this movie theater at this,
Yeah, you can.
Ryan Gosling in a rock crab movie, like anyways, very enjoyable. I think it's going to do gangbusters. I think everybody will probably love it if you go see it in theaters. So I thought it was a great little watch for like this time of year, really enjoyed it. And then, yeah, I mean, last thing I watched, I've been watching a lot of Nirvana, the band, just like the web series and the TV series, which has me feeling probably a little bit sillier than usual. But man, I've never seen these guys like anything they've done before. And as like a Canadian, that's embarrassing as well. But obviously I watched their movie there a couple of weeks ago. Absolutely loved it. And I've just been trying to find things just kind of to throw on, not necessarily in the background, but not also like they don't fully demand my attention, and kind of get away from just consuming all this YouTube slop all the time. Maybe do like 50% slop. So anyways, Nirvana the band, the web series, and the TV show have been kind of what I've been throwing on. And man, some of the just like the humor of the 2000s does not land as well as it does anymore, or some of this is edgier than they probably expected in the beginning. And then some of the things they're bringing back when they kind of like brought the show back into production in like 2015, 2016. I don't know. It's a good laugh. I really enjoy it. And yeah, even if they're saying a slur every now and then, I'm like, you know what? I don't think they've said it at that time. Like, I don't think they meant I don't think they were basically saying, in 20 years time, this stuff is going to be terrible. I think at the time they just thought it was truly funny. And that's what I choose to take it when I'm watching it, rather than being offended the entire time. But yeah, I mean, I really like the series. It's very fun, easily disposable, just like 15, 20-minute episodes, all really silly, low stakes of just trying to get a gig at a bar in Toronto, but not actually putting in the work ever to be a musician. More so just going through with these crazy schemes on how to get them to be noticed. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think anyone should check it out. If you like the movie, you should certainly check it out, because it's like basically the same sort of comedy the entire time, but just in like easier to, smaller package, like easier to digest. So yeah, that's basically everything that I've been consuming.
Well, with that, why don't we get into what we're going to talk about this evening? Why we chose it. It was a Mike pick. Mike, why don't you introduce the movie? Let us know why you chose it. Was it to drive Colton insane, as you already knew his hatred of old movies?
Yeah, that's an interesting wrinkle, that I really like The Apartment from 1960, and then this is also from 1960. Yeah.
I mean, listen, it was a really great year for cinema. What can I say? Yeah, I mean, it's my pick. It is 1960s Peeping Tom. It was a really great year for cinema. Like, there's some absolute landmark releases that year. I picked it partially because it's just a great movie. I mean, listen, if it tortures Colton, then that's just like a side effect. What can I say? It's just funny that, he's talking about how few movies he's seen from before, 2010 or whatever. But listen, we do need to squeeze in more of them, and that's essentially why I did it. I was like, okay, let's go back in time a little bit. Let's get another, and I figured we won't do a black and white because, God forbid, everyone looks at a screen that is not in full color. And this is good because this is like technicolor, and it's, just got beautiful, vibrant aesthetic. So yeah, that's why I picked it.
Well, with that, why don't we get into the trailer, and then we'll be back with the synopsis and first experiences.
Mark, what do you do?
I work in a film studio. I hope to be a director very soon.
What's going on here?
Murder.
All this filming isn't healthy. Mark?
Don't be shy.
What are these films you can't wait to look at?
My interest is in fear.
Have you gone crazy?
Yes.
Put that camera away!
Whatever I photograph, I always lose.
Peeping Tom was directed by Michael Powell and written by Leo Marks, and the story is as follows. Working as a focus puller by day and a sleazy photographer by night, Mark Lewis doesn't remember a time when he didn't have a camera shoved in his face or pointed at someone else's. Following in his father's footsteps of exploring voyeurism and fear responses, Mark soon becomes obsessed with capturing a moment of primal fear, the look on a woman's face just before he kills them.
So, is this our first time seeing Peeping Tom? Or have we seen it because anytime we get to know anyone, they say, hey, you're a real Peeping Tom, and you just feel real close to this project. Jill, is this your first time seeing it?
It is. I have a huge blind spot, especially for older movies. So yeah, this is one that wasn't really on my radar at all. So yeah, it was a first watch for me. Colton, what about you?
Yeah, as I already mentioned, I mean, I don't actively seek out movies usually from around this era unless there's a big blind spot, which there are numerous blind spots from this era. But yeah, Peeping Tom was on my radar, I think purely because I watched some sort of, it might have been like a Cineflix movie list or something, I don't know, probably close to a decade ago, where they were talking about some great works of horror and what would be kind of the equivalent from that era if this other one didn't break through. So I think for whatever reason, Peeping Tom was the stand-in for Psycho. Like if Psycho didn't blow up and became what it is, everyone would be celebrating Peeping Tom in a similar way. I think was kind of what they were hypothesizing.
Interesting.
So I mean, yeah, so this one has been on my list for quite a while. It's actually also been one that I meant to choose on the show at some point. So at least I can knock that off the list. And yeah, it was a first-time watch for me. Like I said, I've been meaning to watch it. It's been on the watch list for ages, but, you know, busting out a movie from 1960 is not something I do regularly.
No.
It takes a lot of work to do. So, yeah, this is a first-time watch for me. Rowan, what about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm similar to you. I haven't seen this, but I've been aware of it. For me, mostly, I think, yeah, just kind of like documentaries and stuff. I think the latest thing I can think where they talk about this was one of those found footage documentaries I think Shudder did. They talked, like one of the directors they talked to referenced Peeping Tom, because, you know, obviously they talk about kind of the influence on found footage and stuff. But yeah, so I've heard this, you know, multiple times. I can't say, like you, it was like necessarily on a watch list or anything for me, but I was like kind of aware of it. So, and I'm also, you know, like you, I kind of have, I feel I'm pretty good in the 70s, the 60s.
Yeah, you're more well-watched than I am.
Yeah, I feel like
eras,
the 60s era for some reason is like just a decade that always miss. I see more stuff in the 50s and the 70s than I do the 60s. So, yeah, it's kind of a good little, you know, little refreshment, I guess, something different. Mike, have you seen this before, or was this just a blind pick?
No, I had seen it. I'd always sort of like been familiar with it, and I remember my textbooks for when I did film studies, one of them in particular, like they both mentioned it, and one of them in particular had like one of the chapters I read had kind of like a breakdown of like some of the shots and stuff, and that really piqued my interest. And that was around the time that I discovered, you know, Criterion, and was like always online trying to like, well, I mean, their movies were so expensive and there was nowhere around here then to buy them really. And I would like find them online. So, oh, you know what it was too? Also, it was when we had essentially the Canadian version of Netflix as it was originally started, where you could order DVDs and like have them sent to your house and then watch them and send them back and get more. And that's actually how I thought I downloaded it, and then I realized that was something else. I rented it off of zip.ca. That's what it was called, Zip.
Oh my God.
And it came in an envelope. So Criterion, you know, did Peeping Tom. And so I got the DVD in the mail in a little envelope, and I watched it. And that was a million years ago, and I fell in love with it. And it was one of those that, too, a lot of time, like with that thing, you obviously, you know, sending stuff in the mail takes time, and you want to maximize like how many movies you can get. So you want to like literally get them and watch them and send them back as soon as possible so you can get more. But that was, so I never usually would watch much of the or pay attention to much of the extras because I was just like, I want to get through 3 movies tonight, and when I go to school in the morning, drop them in the mailbox. But that was one of the only ones because there was a commentary on it by Laura Mulvey, and if you don't know, she's the one who popularized / coined the phrase like the male gaze in like psychoanalytic film theory, which is like one of the like most just trajectory altering like film theory concepts of all time. And it was like in the 70s that she came up with it, and people still read her articles today and like cite it. Anyway, she did a commentary on it, and I remember I watched the movie and then watched whatever other movie I had, and before I went to bed I was like, I'm gonna watch it again with the commentary on, which is something I've only ever done like maybe 3 times in my life. So yeah, it was good. It's also, they did just put out a 4K of this Criterion, and it does still have that commentary. So if you are inclined to listen to feminist film theory commentary, check out that disc. It's really good. So yeah, I've seen it a few times over the years. Long story short.
Well, with that, why don't I crank my camera here? You can decide whether or not that's a euphemism or not. And why don't I put my tripod leg up to your guys' throats? And if you don't talk about Peeping Tom, it could be a bad scene for you.
It's a lot of euphemisms.
Yeah, a lot now that I really think about it. So yeah, Peeping Tom. I mean, obviously my first note, and I don't know if this is like the right conversation to open up with, but, well, I was just going to say, to me, the most glaring thing is this coming out in 1960 and Psycho being the other like major release, which I think is probably most of the conversations where this is involved, that some very similar things going on, kind of like the look and descent of like madness and a madman, and obviously like first person stuff. Yeah, I thought it's just very interesting. I think throughout film history, when you have stuff like this that's so similar, that comes out at the exact same time, and like probably didn't really know about one another. I just thought like very interesting that they came out at the same time.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that they're so similar, because obviously now that we look back in the history of it, and like once again, you watch that Cineflix movie list or whatever, and they explain as to why they'd replace one with the other and why they believe it's so groundbreaking and whatnot. But watching it now, and it's been a few years since I've seen Psycho, so keep that in mind. But I didn't actually find it that similar to Psycho. Like, don't get me wrong, there's obviously some stylistic aspects, or obviously, where he's killing women and that sort of thing. There's some comparisons. But I mean, when I think of Psycho, it's kind of like getting the rug pulled out from under you in the first 30 minutes, right? Like, that's a huge moment. It's kind of like being in the hotel and the Bates estate, and like, his issues with his mother and all these sorts of aspects. Like, don't get me wrong, of course, the character of Mark Lewis is a very unwell dude this entire movie, as is Norman Bates. It was just, for me, I feel like it was more like looking back on these movies like literary-wise, like comparing them more than I think if you were an actual audience member at the time. If you'd think like, oh my God, I saw Peeping Tom 6 months before Psycho, and Psycho just ripped it off. Like I don't know for me if it was that blatant, I guess.
I was going to say, I mean, like, it's sort of very broad strokes, right? Like,
yeah.
Like you said, there's some thematic stuff there and stylistic, but I mean, when you look at it, like the rug pull comment is, to me, kind of key, because you have the opposite of that happening in this movie, because you immediately know who the killer is, and there's no element of surprise at all. Maybe like the first minute or two they just show the back of his head, but like as soon as you see his face, that's the guy, and they just
within 5 minutes of this movie opening, right? Like there's the comparison with like the gloves he's wearing and the camera he's using, that the only reason you cut from what we saw before the credits and then cut to the street photography afterwards is because you're drawing the direct correlation that this is the same dude. I guess like if he was dressing up as like the women he was killing, or every now and then he would do that, maybe like once again there could be aspects of how this could obviously get similar to Psycho. It's just outside of knowing historically that some people compare these two, I didn't see like plagiarism or they're copying one another or anything like that in here.
It's like they're both serial killer movies. That's
exactly with a mad dude at the center.
We got daddy issues versus mommy issues.
No, exactly.
True. Yeah,
they're kind of they really are kind of this good double feature together of daddy versus mommy. I thought it was interesting because as I was watching this, and maybe just because those type of movies are are kind of in my head. I thought it was very interesting seeing the lineage of like this to, I guess the better way to preference it is like I said when our first time watching it was that I'd heard about this through the found footage lens, which I understand and I'm sure we'll talk about, but it didn't really, I wasn't all like, oh, I can see this found footage movie from like 2010, like really referencing this, but I almost saw this line of the two movies I thought of, or three that I thought of, there's no way there was like a very strong influence of this, was one that we have done on the podcast, Magic.
Yeah, you're going to say the one that came to my mind.
Yeah. I really thought of Magic, and really because of these portrayals, and we talked about Magic, like of kind of the lineage to like Joker and like these kind of like portrayals of madness. And I got more of a feeling of that. American Psycho, also I thought pretty heavily of this. I was like, there's no way this wasn't an influence to that. And, obviously a Descent to Madness is a pretty basic concept, but I think just kind of the tones, especially the me with American Psycho in this, I was like I can really see them kind of lined up and in conversation with each other.
You know what's crazy? You didn't mention the one that I was thinking of when I watched this movie. For whatever reason, I think Thesis that we did like a few years ago.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, there's a lot that Thesis owes to this movie.
Also,
where,
about making
it's like
movies.
Once again, it's the recording.
Yeah.
It's the recording on the very much being in like the found footage sort of lens. The murders, the snuff film culture. The killer, they're trying to track him by like him renting like video nasties and that sort of thing. There's basically the merging of the murder and the snuff film aspect of it. Like Thesis definitely owes a lot to this for sure.
1,000%. Yeah. I never even thought of that. You're right.
Yeah. That's
like
for whatever
the more
reason,
academic version.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I did see a random fact of the found footage stuff when I was reading about it, was that apparently Scream 4, they actually mention this movie as like the grandfather of found footage. But then I was reading a fact about it that there was actually, it was The Lodger and Hanover Square actually were like, they were in 44 and 45, and apparently those are actually way earlier, like found footage, first person perspective shots in
Interesting,
film.
because I haven't heard of those two that you mentioned. I've heard Peeping Tom mentioned numerous times, but I haven't heard of those two. Do we agree with kind of setting this as a found footage, or setting it as I've seen it mentioned as a proto slasher and whatnot, and I think almost going in with those sorts of like preconceived notions sets you up for a different movie than what this ultimately wound up being. Because, I hear this is a proto slasher. I hear it's a found footage movie. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest lover of slashers, but I do really like found footage movies. And I understand what people are saying, where there's like, you can draw correlations to both those genres, but I don't know if this fits neatly into one or the other, really. Like, if Mark Lewis was more of like hacking up these women constantly throughout the movie and, racked up more of a kind of a body count, maybe I'd feel that way. Or if like we were kind of reliving a lot of the movie through him kind of just watching the tapes in his room, similar to like something like a Sinister or something with Ethan Hawke, if there was more of that, maybe I'd feel that way. But I don't know, maybe I'm just off base. Did you guys like get that feeling as you were watching it?
I kind of felt more so I can understand like a proto slasher, and it just because when I think of a proto slasher, I think about like, well, the 60s, and like it's gonna be a little slower. There's not really gonna be like that many deaths in it. I mean, the stuff in this, I'm sure for the 60s is like very shocking, which I mean obviously was very shocking. I mean obviously I'm sure we're gonna talk about like this being like banned in England, and this ruined. It ruined Michael Powell's career, essentially. But yeah, I was going to say, in terms of like a found footage, I didn't associate with that. And I do think that does set you up if you go into it like I did, being like, okay, like all I was thinking was found footage, because last time I'd heard about this was on a found footage documentary. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, this isn't really that whatsoever. It's, to me, this is way more like, proto slasher, proto like giallo It definitely has like giallo feels. Obviously, the Technicolor to me was the most glaring thing about it. I will say, like, I do have things I didn't necessarily love about this, but this is like shot and colored. So, I mean, I really like the sets and everything. I love so much. Just the I mean, I'm a sucker for Technicolor, so.
Me too.
It's just beautiful and everything, like how everything's kind of shot dreamlike in this. I really do like how this is shot.
Yeah, for me, I didn't really think about the found footage aspect until you guys brought it up, but definitely I can see this being like a proto slasher and it kind of paving the way for slashers. Most of the time, though, you don't know the identity of your slasher villain, so that kind of is a little bit different. But what I mostly got from this and what I liked about it was that it was very much a psychological kind of horror and like kind of a character study, really. And I loved learning more about Mark, and I loved his relationship with Helen as well. It was really interesting to watch how like one person can kind of alter, and you see that a lot in like psychopathic kind of movies. There's always like one person that they kind of click with, and usually ends up pretty tragically. But yeah, psychological is what I got the most out of this. And it is quite a long, slow burn. Also, I watched this on Tubi, which is horrific because it's, to me, if I felt the length, and I watched this twice in the last 24 hours. But yeah, with the ads on Tubi, dear God.
Yeah, I had a less than stellar viewing experience as well because I put it on for the first time yesterday sometime. And after like 15 or 20 minutes, my phone was blowing up. And I'm one of those, like, I try and completely not check my phone when I'm watching a movie, especially for the pod, other than taking notes or whatnot. Yeah. But yeah, like a group chat was blowing up, so I was answering some stuff in there after 15, 20 minutes. And then it was like, oh, there's this thing to check. And then before you know it, I look up and I'm 40 minutes into the movie and I haven't paid much attention for the past 25 minutes. So I was like, all right, I got to stop this. I can't keep watching this tonight. And then, you know, I had to start it over fresh today and sit through it. So, you know, not the same as watching it twice in 24 hours, being constantly interrupted with Tubi ads, but definitely like, you know, not the theater experience either, which I try and recreate as best I can on my couch at home when I'm trying to watch something for like a first time, especially if it's something that's what a lot of people kind of hold in such high regard.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I felt the length of this. To me, I almost really feel like at some point I'm gonna have to revisit it because I think, and you know, as we've started to have this conversation, I just really think where I know, like, as we said, almost this unfair comparison to Psycho. So, like, I go in being like, okay, so I'm gonna have to, you know, when I talk on the pod, I'm assuming I'm gonna have to, like, kind of talk about, like, this and that and, like, why they're compared, things like that. And, you know, we've never talked about Psycho on the podcast. So, like, you know, I guess a little, like, teaser, like, you know, Psycho's a little banger. I don't know if anyone's ever heard that before.
It's like me coming out the gate and being like, you know what? Billy Wilder and The Apartment. Kind of good. You know? He seems to know what he's doing, you know?
I thought about, because, you know, I've said many times, like, as we get older, movies that sometimes the pacing can be a little iffy for me, and Psycho was one that I remember like having a lot of anxiety over how I was going to feel about the pacing, and then being like, oh, wait a second, like this actually bumps. And this one, I felt there was like little lulls, but it was smart enough that it would have lulls where I'm like, oh, am I gonna have to shit all over Mike's pick like the whole time? But then it would have little things that I'd be like, oh, wait a second. And like I said, I did like looking at it even for that because I was just like, it's gorgeous. Like I do love the way that it's shot, and I think I'm just gonna call him Carl because if you think I'm gonna even try to pronounce his
I
name,
wanted you to do his name. Come on,
let's do it. Karl-Heinz Boehm, maybe Boehm.
All right,
maybe.
Probably not offensively bad, but
like I thought he was so interesting. Like he's
the guy who's playing our main character, Mark.
Yeah, you know, in our what we've been consuming section, we brought up like Udo Kier, right? Like just someone that like looks very interesting, very unique, and like his eyes, he just kind of has a presence on camera that I did think was very very charming.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't want to get into like negatives and stuff really with the movie and whatnot yet either. Of course, I'm not used to a lot of movies from this era. The pacing wise was kind of slow, or like, the narrative itself was a bit slight. But I do think stylistically, a lot of like what was shown, like the filmmaking, the cinematography was pretty great throughout it. And I did really like Mark as well as the main character. I will say, like, I don't know, like he plays a lot of it with, it's kind of subdued, I guess, for a lot of the movie. Like you can tell he's unwell, but he's not like over the top, like freaking out, like, throughout the movie. He's not like he's not like Joker or something, throughout the movie. He's not like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, which is what I'd call as like a very unwell guy when you're watching that movie.
But
he
you can
plays
tell
it a lot.
He's the killer. Like, you see him the first shot, it's like, oh yeah, you can see it in the eyes, and they say that a lot.
You know
in
what's
the movie,
funny about
his
that
father's
too,
eyes.
though? Like I've worked with a lot of camera guys, right? And there's someone I know quite well who he's like worked with me the past couple of years, and he's even worked in my department with me.
And he's possibly murdered lots of women.
Well, possibly. He's very quiet. He's a little bit strange. Very like the sort of guy that'll work with you for a year, and you've heard him say 5 sentences, right? But, he seems to be a very, like, right-on guy and, like, does well in school and that stuff. He's a bit younger than me, obviously. But when I was watching this, I was like, oh, this guy is kind of like this guy I work with. And how I finally got that guy I work with to break out of his shell is I said, I think you eat people, is what I said to him one day. And like, once again, as his boss, I said, I was like, there's something off about you. I think you eat people, is what I said. And then after that, like, he kind of laughed about it. And then he opened right up after that. And he was like kind of normal guy on the crew. And then I told him a couple weeks later, I was like, I said, I still have my suspicions. Just because you've been talking more and you're more normal now, I still got my eye on you, sort of thing. So I don't know.
Make friends, Colton.
Well, I mean, friends. He's a coworker.
Maybe you're Mark. Maybe you're the killer.
Could be. You never know.
What would his weapon of choice be, though?
Yeah, I don't have the one leg stand. The one leg of the tripod sharpened. I thought that was a cool murder weapon.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
and the mirror.
Awesome.
The mirror, holy shit! Like,
did I miss that throughout the rest of the movie though? Like, did he always have that mirror piece of his camera kit on there, and somehow
I think it's a reveal at the end.
Right? Yeah, that's a reveal.
Okay, because like when I watched it, I was just like, I wasn't on my phone for this viewing. I think I would see the huge kind of dish, mirror on this camera if it was on there in the earlier scenes when we saw him, going towards the women.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you get the reflections of light on their face and whatnot.
Yes, yeah. And you think it's like maybe like a camera light or a flashlight or something.
Yeah.
And the investigators do make several references throughout the movie to the looks on their faces. And I think you kind of just assume that it's like the terror of knowing that someone that they know is about to murder them, but then you find out that it's that, but also watching themselves, like something out of Strange Days.
Of course.
Literally petrified. Reminds me of like Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Like, you see the snake or Medusa, you know what I mean? Like, you turn to stone and it's like forever embedded. I love that.
I just feel like this movie shouldn't have been that long because they should have just known to arrest him. Like, when you go to his house and he's like, oh, I'll just give you a nice cold glass of milk. I feel like that's just automatically like you should be arrested.
Yeah. Can we have a moment for the cake?
The cake.
The cake looked good.
It looked so good. It was fat too. It was like a tall ass cake.
Yeah. What's
good
wrong
slice
with milk?
Of cake with the single candle. I said, she put some work into this to bring this upstairs for him.
Although I was kind of sad that I was like, oh, maybe he gets to blow out the candle. She just blows out the candle in front of him. She's like, there you go.
Yeah, no wish.
Yeah, well, I just like, why even have the candle on it, really? If you're gonna bring it up lit and then show it to him and then you blow it out, it's like, well, better luck next time, bud. So I thought she was also, what was her character was
Helen,
right? Yeah.
Helen, yeah.
I thought she was fantastic in this. Like, she was my second favorite thing about this movie. Like, very charming. And all charming in the exact opposite way as Mark, as like you need like those roles to work. Like very inquisitive, very talkative, like bringing him out of his shell.
Pulling out of his shell, yeah. She's excellent.
Now, do you imagine like how much more successful Helen would have been if she just walked up to Mark and said, you know what, I think you eat people, and just, really broke down those walls, to cut right to his core.
I can't. I love his like infatuation with her and like the fact that he never wants to see her scared. But one thing I also really like about Helen, besides the fact that like she is so charismatic and she has this like face with these like bright eyes, with her mom,
Huge
too.
eyes.
Her mom has like the same eyes. It's crazy how much they look alike. Actually, I love that too. But I love that she's like like a children's author, and she's writing the story about like a magic camera, and he like really clings to that as well. And they just have so much chemistry and like similarities. But like you said, Rowan, they're the exact opposite of each other.
She just obviously doesn't have a good stranger danger sense going on.
I don't know if Anna Macy or Massey, however you pronounce her name, had like a big career after this, or if she's like a Hollywood starlet or anything like that. But I thought this movie did a good job of casting two people kind of in the leads that look more or less like everyday people and less like Hollywood people. And nowadays, I mean, basically everybody in every movie looks like a model, and this is something we were way more successful doing back, in this era for sure.
They all got their surgeries and their teeth done. And,
exactly, right? It's just something that it's definitely, we've lost that charm. And it was something when I was watching this movie, like even the beautiful women, don't get me wrong, of course they're beautiful, but they do look like women that could exist, that you could see around.
You'd see on the street.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Not like the perfect model with all this work done that you'd never see unless you're literally in Los Angeles, It was something like just kind of quaint and nice about this movie as well, that people had a distinct look, but they also looked like they would exist in our world, that they weren't like aliens almost.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny actually that you said you don't know what kind of career she had, because I was going to say she is in two of my like lore thrillers. This is one of them. Okay. And the other one is she was in Alfred Hitchcock's Frenzy, which is another really good serial killer movie. And she is the exact same in Frenzy. She's that one character that like just leaps off the screen and you want to like befriend and like hang out with her and spend time with her because she's just so charismatic. Yeah.
Also in The Machinist, I saw for new movies.
Yeah.
Shout out to Skinny Christian Bale.
Skinny is not even the word for it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Now, I will say, so one thing I didn't like on the back half of this is I thought once we got into once the cops came into it and the detective stuff, I do wish we kind of got more of following Mark around, doing his, killing women and stuff like that. I found once the kind of cat and mouse between the cops and him came in, I don't know why, it just kind of shook me out of it a bit, just because I felt that kind of just overpowered it so much. And I don't know, I really just wasn't into the kind of procedural cop thing of this. I didn't care what the cops were doing. I was like, I'd like to see more with the camera, especially after we get the great scene of him when he, he's killing the backup actor and stuffs her in the suitcase and stuff.
Oh my God, that scene is a masterpiece. Jesus.
Yeah, well, and I thought it was a great scene with dressing the set before he's gonna make the kill. But I wanted to see more stuff like that. And I know the time period, this is a lot of kills for a 1960s movie. Yeah. I think I got so much giallo feel that I was like, oh man, I wish it was kind of I could almost sense a meaner Italian version of this with more raunchy, more blood.
It's funny you mentioned this because we're going to have the exact same conversation to this regard of what we had with Tenebrae, where I like that movie so much. As soon as you start focusing more on the cops and kind of the minutia of it, I remember that movie kind of starting to slow down a little bit too much for me as well. Where this was, I'm glad they didn't go full cop, where we were always following them back to their headquarters and the corkboard on the wall, that sort of shit. But I do agree that it was the sort of thing. Once the cops were onto him, I would kind of wish the movie ended within 10, 15 minutes, sort of thing. You kind of know the inevitable conclusion at that point, and more so, it definitely just stretches on a little bit. I don't know why we always have to have the big cop narrative in these sorts of movies.
I know,
we
it's
still
awful.
Do it nowadays.
I kind of like
keep
the
cops out of.
I feel like they could have did more cat and mouse with the cops, when he's up in the rafters or whatever, and the pencils fall out of his pocket.
Yeah, it's a fine
I
moment.
love that.
Yeah.
I want it I wanted them to like catch on to that more, or like when he's like climbing down the ladder and they have that like flashlight like kind of beam right on him, like maybe like tone it down a bit, but a couple like quick scenes for like tension like that, I like that.
Yeah, for me, it's just I don't know if any of these movies are ever improved by adding like the cop narrative, like anything. Like, you know, it's like, I don't know, let's think about like Malignant when you're focusing on all the cops. It's like those are the worst parts of the movie. Even as someone who hates that movie, it's like those are the worst parts for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Or like Tenebrae, like recently. But like if you're having cops in your movie, I feel like solving the mystery, being in lockstep with them as they're like kind of building the persons of interest and kind of trying to frame them and find who it is, should be kind of like the core part of the movie. Whereas when you just introduce them like an afterthought in a movie like this, just because they're imperative to kind of the ultimate ending, I guess, somewhat, not really fully in this movie to tell you the truth, but a little bit, I guess. It's the sort of thing where it's just always bogs it down a little bit. It feels like that one beat you have to introduce in Act 2 to like further flesh out your world. But I'm always like, I'm kind of more like, well, if you added one more person that he kind of went after and we delved more into kind of his psyche, would have the movie been just as satisfying without having all this cop bloat? I don't know.
Yeah, cops are always bloat in movies, just like in real life.
Unless it's something like Seven, right? Which is like, that's the whole point, is following these cops, right? Or like, what are those Edgar Wright movies? That one, really Hot Fuzz some shit like that. Like once again, where the cops are the main characters and you know what you're getting yourself into, and that's the whole point, right? Like when you introduce them like this and they become like a secondary character, or some movies, it's so over the top, they become almost like a co-lead for like 30 minutes of your movie. It's just, it's always like, I didn't sign up for this, and I also don't care. And in this movie, we know who the killers are, and we kind of know like what the specifics of even what happened to a lot of these women, right? Because you see it, right? You kind of live it in the moment. So yeah, it was just, I don't know, a little unnecessary for sure.
I agree. I thought it was interesting though that he films everything, even like catching, like he's watching the police try to figure it out. And I thought that was cool. But yeah, I agree. I think definitely this movie was a bit long and they could have cut the cop bloat, like you said.
He definitely films himself cranking that camera for sure.
Cranking that hog.
Well, that was something too when I was looking at, because I always have to do this for this movies, is you search up like a summary or a little synopsis of what it is. Everyone was saying that he was doing it for sexual gratification. And did I miss something where, like, was he cranking that hog while watching these videos at some point in the movie? Was it just the implication? Like, was it?
I feel like it's more implied.
Yeah, okay. All right. I was just making sure I didn't miss, like, you know, I didn't get, like, the cut version or something where you don't see him just furiously going to town.
That guy about, you know, the Peeping Tomism.
Yeah.
Right? But the undertone of that conversation is that a Peeping Tom does, by nature, at least somewhat get off on it.
Yes.
Right? It is like a fetish. So even though that's not like sort of at the forefront of it, that is definitely like it's between the lines there. Maybe not like super important, but like it is still, there's like some kind of sexual thrill to it.
Why do you know so much about
compulsion.
This, Mike? What's going on? Do you want to talk?
Listen, I read a lot of Freud, okay?
Well, voyeurism in general is inherently sexual. So it's just teaming with it just because of that. And even as the audience, you feel kind of wrong watching this because it kind of flips it so that the audience is the voyeur as well, and you start to feel uncomfortable watching it. So even like the opening scene where you have the lady of the night dying, like, you know, you feel a little bit like wrong, like seeing all this go down, but you are still so into it, you have to keep watching.
Also, I don't know what £2 is in 1960, but I mean that feels very cheap to me. I don't know. I got to do the
oh my God,
adjust
you
for
just
inflation.
called that sex worker cheap.
Well, I'm just saying
inexpensive.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just out of touch. I'm not sure, but this world, like the world he existed in, felt sexualized for sure. Like, you know, you're talking about kind of like this convenience store, or, you know, wherever he was going to sell the photos, and, you know, you got all the like naked ladies up on the walls, which it's kind of crazy because places like this don't really exist nowadays. But I remember as a kid,
unless you're
like,
at
I would
Las
go
Vegas.
Okay, yeah. I've never been to Vegas, but I'm talking about Labrador. I go to the barber shop. I'm getting my hair cut as 5 years old. He turns me around in my seat to kind of get the back, and it's just boobs all over the walls, just like, everywhere, right? Just, or like even as a kid where you go to like the stores where they still kind of have these magazines around, like every now and then, there's someone propped up, or, the calendar on the wall or whatever. It's just, these kind of sleazy places just don't exist anymore. So watching it this day and age where a lot of those things are a little bit more sanitized, I guess, or people just, they're doing it on their phones instead. It was just interesting where, once again, the world itself and even his other job where he's taking, risque photos, it all felt very sexualized. It's just he himself, I guess, we don't see him ever like pleasuring himself.
Yeah.
Or kind of going after any of the women in that capacity, I guess, in the movie.
Yeah, I think for him too, is like he experienced that trauma with his dad, and for whatever reasons, his dad was doing it to meet his own ends. But like, I think he's just like chasing that thrill of trying to find something as messed up as like what happened to him as a kid. And I feel like that's why he keeps going. Like he keeps trying to find the fear on someone else's face that kind of matches like what he felt, and he can just never find it. Also,
how
it's
much is
$5.50. $5.50 Canadian from 1960.
Like $5.50
Canadian, yep, from 1960.
Okay, but now do the translation of how much that would be in today's dollars. I need to know this. Also, can we talk about, I just acknowledge the fact that there was, and this was like unheard of at the time, a brief flash of titty.
Yeah.
$60.
It's like, oh, nice. I mean, that is still a pretty good deal.
£60 to be
from
fair,
what I hear.
which is more. I mean, yeah, okay, all right.
Seems like quality, good bang for your buck, I guess.
It's kind of expensive.
I don't know what the market rate is, but it was, when someone said £2, I'm like, that seems to me incredibly cheap,
seems low.
I guess.
And can we acknowledge the fact that there was titties in this movie for like one brief flickering second, which I'm sure at the time was like absolutely shocking.
Yeah, I would say so. I was pretty surprised that it was in there as well for like 1960. Once again, not an expert on movies from this era whatsoever, but once you kind of go back that far, I just expect things to be a little bit more, well, covered, but just subtle, I guess. Like, like lingerie or something like that, where it's all implied rather than explicitly shown.
And I feel like it's almost an understatement because like there's the shot of the girl that he's like photographing, like when she's in bed or whatever, and she's nude. But yeah, there's also like tons of pictures that they show, like
that I was saying at like the bodega or wherever they were.
So I mean, there is
bodega.
Quite a bit. So as we said, this always getting compared to Psycho. Like, is that a check mark? They get to, they're like, when you're like, why is Peeping Tom better than Psycho? And it's like titties, check.
Blink and you'll miss them.
Ephemeral titties.
Yeah.
I was going to say, and speaking with that, I brought it up briefly there, but I do think it's important to maybe have like a fuller acknowledgement. Like I said, like, so obviously this came out, it was banned in like 5 days in England from what I was reading about it.
Wow.
This destroyed, what did I say his name was? Mike Powell, right?
Michael Powell, yeah. One of the greatest directors who ever filmed movies.
Yeah, this destroyed his career, just because he was, it was such a shock. And obviously everything I read, it was about the implied like sexual violence and obviously the actual sexuality in it and just kind of the shock and awe. And I always think it's really interesting because nowadays, when we think about like, England, when we think about like Europe, just anywhere not in North America, it's like, oh, Eyes Wide Shut, they're not pussies. They're getting the, like, NC-17 version.
They're getting the gangbang, yeah.
Yeah, there's more of an aversion to, like, gore over in that area of the world nowadays, where we're, like, the opposite, where it's like you show a boob that's sacrilegious, but you can show someone getting their head hacked off or, brains blown out real quickly, and it's not as much of an issue.
So it's always surprising to me about, and obviously, I get it, the whole video nasties thing. And was like a big push in England, but it always surprises me with that just ruined this guy, this guy, not only ruining this guy's career at the time, because obviously now this film is like really held to this like great esteem, but like we said, like I think it's shot, like it looks so good, and it's just like, I've never seen anything else this guy's done, but I'm like, wow, like imagine if this didn't ruin this guy's career and he could continue to like be more and more successful, like his counterpart.
I mean, like as Mike said, he had a very successful career already. He has like 50 movies or something. So,
yeah.
you know.
He directed one of the single greatest films ever released in the universe, The Red Shoes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what he's known for. And then Black Narcissus as well before this movie. So there's a couple that I've heard definitely
the greatest films ever.
So.
I didn't see any Leprechaun movies in his filmography, so...
Well, some might call this the proto-Leprechaun.
Proto-slasher, proto-found footage. What about proto-leprechaun?
There we go. We're breaking new ground.
Proto-troll.
No one has said that on a Peeping Tom podcast before. You know, you very quickly passed over like the Vivian's kill of just basically this dance number before it that I thought was like pretty like exciting for the movie I was watching. That, you know, it was like harkening back to kind of old musicals, but it was also just kind of fun to be in this movie where clearly like she didn't understand at all what his intentions were for what was going to unfold, and she was just, you know, just so happy to be getting recorded on like studio cameras and all this stuff for what she assumed was going to be, that I thought was a lot of fun. And there's also that whole section with Helen's mother, which I didn't really understand the specifics of. Apparently she regularly goes up to his apartment, I think is what she said, and just kind of mills about. And she's also blind. And I was just like, okay, this is a bit strange. But just like what was unfolding there, I thought was pretty interesting about like he was toying with killing her and the projection kind of overlaid like his shadow on it. Like once again, just like filmmaking wise, it was very good. And then ultimately not killing her. It was just...
Do you feel like she was eliciting Tom? Not, you know, she couldn't...
Yeah, I was going to say, I think she... was kind of like, you know, like in Suspiria when it's like you hear the footsteps and everything. I think she just knew exactly like everything that was happening because of her heightened
birds of
dependence
a
on
feather.
her ears.
Well, that's kind of what I took from it, was like they kind of have like this connection, because also her walking cane also just has like a spike on the end of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird that she just has this kind of the same thing his tripod has for no reason. And it didn't really seem like she, you know, it wasn't like she's like, I'm going to call the cops or something. Like, it was just kind of like, she's like, I know you. I know why you're weird, what makes you weird. Like,
I'm not scared of you. Yeah.
So what you're saying is we were deprived of the sequel, Peeping Mom.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That'd be perfect.
I hate you so much.
I really liked the mom. That was like one of the highlights of the movie for me, because she was weird and it didn't really click to me until like at the end, like, okay, they're kind of similar, because it is very implicit. Like they don't really specifically say what's going on or really show you what's going on with the mom. But I also love that she's blind and picks up on like the footsteps, and she talks about her well-oiled key, or her key needs to be oiled or some shit like that. And then he promises that he's not going to ever film her daughter, and they're talking about like one of them is going to have to move. But then also I love the fact that this is like his childhood home. Like this is where he grew up, and all of the houses are already wired and tapped, and he can listen in on everybody. I thought that was a really cool feature as well.
Yeah, and then I guess the last note just before rating it is just I wanted to mention kind of the actual ending of the movie, like the specifics and how that played out there, because that was another note that I was a little bit disappointed in. I liked how he kind of takes his own life, like kind of like rigging it up and whatnot with the tripod leg and the mirror and stuff. This was like an aspect of the filmmaking where I kind of wish that in taking his own life we did get like a shot of him seeing his own fear like fully like in the mirror, kind of like capturing his own face, and kind of like him maybe getting some form of like gratification or euphoria or something from this moment. Like this was like the ultimate high.
You wanted him to just jizz all over himself.
Essentially, I did, yes. As like the ending of this movie, I wanted a moment of he impales himself. He kind of looks up at the mirror and you see his face all distorted, and kind of just, you know, there's like this moment of euphoria in him. I was expecting that for sure with like how it was all rigged up.
No, I agree.
Not necessarily the jism, but you know, because
like how else
that
is
moment, I was missing
that.
that.
He's gonna have to get it from himself. But I think it's also kind of like bleak a little bit too, that because they don't show that, he just ends up killing himself and that's it, and poor Helen's left with this big mess. So
was she a little bit too upset over him? They're like, don't worry, she's still alive. It's like, what is this woman like an elephant where she can just die of heartbreak or something? Like I was a little bit surprised where everyone kind of comes in. We expected her to just be dead just by the nature of what happened here.
She should have been the actress for
they probably didn't know that she wasn't stabbed. I just assume that, like it's...
Yeah.
I will say the ending, whether the 1960s or not, I did give a little chuckle. I thought it was the most egregious fake stab in the neck of all time. Like he grabs the end and like you can quite clearly like see him pull it not anywhere near him. And he's like, ugh. And I
think the initial one was fine.
Jesus.
The initial one was fine, and then when he lays on the ground where there's not really any blood or a wound, then I was a little bit more like, not as much. But I don't know, it was just some silliness, I guess, in the ending there, where I was just expecting it to kind of deliver on some different things, but clearly it went in a different direction.
So do you guys have any other notes, or are we good to go into rating this?
Mm-hmm.
We might as well. I could just go on for like hours, so let's rate it.
Yeah, let's put a cap on Mike, because we'll be here forever. Well, with that, let's land the plane and get into rating it. So if you're new to the program, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Mike, this was your pick, so why don't you kick us off? Let us know what you would rate 1960s Peeping Tom. I've got you written down for a nay. Are you going to make me change that, or what?
Peeping Tom, more like keeping... I got nothing.
Love it.
Colton had a good one earlier. Peeping Mom.
I know. I was like, fuck, I gotta like live up to Colton or like best him, and I did not. I did not even like. I literally like tripped up at the starting line and then fell backwards.
On your own
so
pick,
I'm just like,
too.
oh, cool.
It hurts.
Yeah, on my own pick. It's just like constant homophobia, self homophobia.
Self-inflicted homophobia.
Yeah, exactly. The worst kind or the best kind, I guess. Kind of like a self-inflicted stab wound.
Yeah, exactly.
Full circle.
Yeah. Okay, so Peeping Tom, I'm not surprisingly rating a slay. I love Powell's films. This sort of like was a pivotal like film for me in terms of when I first started like watching things that weren't just slasher movies and like Porky's and stuff from the video store. So, like it's and again, it does go up there with like the Hitchcocks and stuff of like I really started to like appreciate even thrillers that I was still watching a lot of, but like that had a certain amount of like craft and intelligence to them. Like The Red Shoes is one of my like top 3 or 4 movies of all time. I think it's, the pinnacle of film. So this is not The Red Shoes, but like, honestly, it's just below it. I just feel like it's so beautifully shot. The acting is phenomenal. There's so many like really charismatic people in it. Like we talked about Anna Massey, and I can't remember the name of the actress that plays her mother. And we did mention Vivian, Moira Shearer. Yeah. She is actually the main actress in The Red Shoes and has worked with Powell a few times before. And obviously she's a dancer. You can tell because she's phenomenal. She's only in it for like 5 minutes, but to me, it's like just an absolute banger, like all-timer scene. A great kill, like one of my favorite horror kills ever. I just think that it did, everyone's, saying proto slasher and proto found footage, which I can see for sure. It did like alter horror, I think, in the same way that like Hitchcock did, because it did sort of like jumpstart serial killer films, and I feel like most slashers are just serial killer films, so I can kind of see how people make the jump from like this to like, the slasher lineage. But I also see a lot of like, I think horror film in general is like encapsulated in this movie, and there's like so much meta commentary on it that like you really can watch it like 5 times and just keep absorbing new things from it, because everything in this means something else. Everything, it means what it means, and it means another thing and another thing. And I just love that like fucking onion layer. And I also love that it kind of predicted like social media and influencer culture. Like it's wild. There's so much in this movie that like I can't believe how much it still resonates like, 80 years later. It's insane. It's just such a beautiful piece of film. Everybody should watch it. I can't wait to get the 4K. Damn, that's why I picked it. I was going to order it, and then I had to get this goddamn computer and couldn't afford it. But yeah, I just think it's a beautiful film. I feel like all of horror cinema is found in this movie. It's kind of like, you know, ground zero for a lot of things that for pretty much every horror thing that came after. So yeah, it's a total slay. Jill, what about you?
Yeah, for me, it's going to be a yay. Like Rowan said, it's very vibrant. The colors, it looks great. I love the chemistry between Mark and Helen. The acting is fantastic. Helen's mother and the other girls too. Vivian and is it Pauline or Paula or something? She's the fainting girl, I believe.
She was hilarious.
I loved her, and I love that they're like working her to the bone, and she was just not having it.
Sorry, Jill, I'm going to cut in. Did anyone think that the woman with kind of like the hair lip, like the very slight facial deformity was going to be more prominent?
Yes.
I will say, missed opportunity.
Yes.
Because I thought she was pretty magnetic for the one scene that she's there as well. And obviously she's so captivating to him as well. Anyways, sorry. You were just talking about the women. And I was like, oh, I really like that one as well. Like in the movie, she was great.
It's a good call. And talking about like the influence this has had, I love the psychological kind of aspect of it and seeing the trauma inflicted on Mark and how it kind of shaped who he is. But honestly, just because I've been reading a lot of psychopathic literature, horror literature, where I'm in the point of view of a psychopath, I can see the parallels in a lot of these. Like, you know, meeting someone who's like a lover who could possibly change you and they might not, or it's tragic because it all falls apart before anything could happen. That's nice. But also finding like that bird of a feather, like with the mom, that's a common trope I've been seeing as well. And I really like that. And I like that it was so implicit that I didn't really think about it too much until we had that conversation about it. So I can definitely see the influence that this has had in horror. And yeah, I thought it was really interesting. And thanks for helping us clear up some blind spots from older movies, Mike. Also,
always,
Mike, you look great. Like your new webcam, you look very crispy.
Wow.
You might be
Yeah, my old one was really bad.
You might have like you used to like have the worst camera. You might have the best camera now, honestly. Crazy.
Yeah, thank you, brand new MacBook.
We're gonna need some more avant-garde shots of that crotch now from the high def camera.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was actually gonna close the laptop just and give you guys a little show just for old time's sake, so you can appreciate. You're like, get my crotch in high definition. Crispy crotch. We love a crispy crotch.
Of course. Oh, and I just like the concept of this. I think it's really interesting. I think it's pretty unique. And of course, like the murder weapon, I thought
so cool.
That was really cool. The mirror and just like the concept of trying to capture that fear in someone, and that's what he's like searching for. I thought that was great. It was a bit long. I felt that the length of that tripod. But yeah, it's a yay for me. What about you, Colton?
Yeah, it's interesting as you guys talk about it. I mean, I feel like I like a lot of the things that you guys are saying about it that I wouldn't have mentioned in my final kind of rating. But I mean, that is a very inspired murder weapon. I definitely like a lot of the filmmaking styles. I think the main guy is specifically good. Karl-Heinz Bohm, Mark Lewis's character, like who he's playing. I thought he did a very good job. But overall, this is like one of those where I feel like if I was in an academic setting, I may have got more out of it. Just watching this on my couch this afternoon, after watching the first 30-ish minutes kind of broken, it was the sort of thing where I felt the length already just by some of the pacing, but also just because the narrative itself I just find is a little bit slight for what it's doing overall. And you guys mentioning like how it's like so pivotal or like integral to horror, this was one of those like, I'm glad we don't do it on the show anymore where we do like, oh, is this a horror movie, or like what was the scariest part, because this is one of those where I would have a really hard time finding what the scariest parts were, because it just kind of played more like a psychological thriller or even like just a character study, like drama.
Because it made the psychological thriller, right?
Probably, yeah, like probably.
Yep.
But once again, those are the sort of things as I'm watching it on my couch, I don't have the film studies professor or the watching like the video essay kind of describing how important this movie is to me. So it was something I enjoyed having it on, but it was just like very slow for me. So overall, I land on an okay with it, which I realize is sacrilegious, but you have to take into account that like I don't love Psycho. I'm one of those people, like, I watched Vertigo with a full orchestra with Kim Novak in attendance at TIFF like 10, 12 years ago, and I left being like, yeah, that was kind of mid. It's just there's a lot of movies from this era that people absolutely love.
Movies.
I don't go that far, but there's something that keeps me at arm's length with some of these movies that I think they're very important to a lot of people, or you watch them in the right environment. Even this isn't Mike's experience, but a lot of people watch these sorts of movies in like film class, right? Where it's like you watch this, you go to class, they kind of tell you the importance of it, and you kind of appreciate it more. I might be too dumb for this movie. I thought it was okay overall. I enjoyed it. I don't know if Psycho would be a slave for me either. So, I don't know. Brace for that if we ever do that movie.
Shit.
It's been a minute since I've seen it. So yeah, Peeping Tom, it's an okay from me. If you follow me on Letterboxd, feel free to scoff at it. Rowan, where are you landing on this?
Well, I mean, the good thing for everybody is that you will be able to get it in an academic setting, because I think we've talked about our next venture is we're just going to start hawking like educational courses, just like, I don't know. I feel like YouTubers do that all the time, like Andrew Tate or something. It's like, buy my class.
God. Andrew Tate.
Enter the manosphere with Colton telling you the historical relevance of Peeping Tom.
That he only gave an okay to.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that would be accurate, right? I'd just be a complete shill, right? Like that's how that shit works.
So, you know what? I appreciate Colton going before me so he can take some of the friendly fire off of me.
Oh, okay. Right.
So this is one of those movies that, and we've had a ton of these with the four of us, and I can think of tons that when Exilia it was just me, Mike, and Exilia, we had tons too, where we talk about, I think I had more fun talking about it than I did watching it. Like,
yeah.
I do think Colton's almost onto a thing is I think the like intellectual rigor of this, of like breaking it apart and examining it, is just like so interesting. I think they're doing a lot of interesting things. I just can't say it was the best viewing I've ever had. I mean, and that doesn't really surprise me. I also, as I said kind of, beforehand, I feel like this is one of those ones that I'm going to need to like watch another time or two. And I do feel that this one could like climb up for me. Like it may even climb up into that Slay territory, because where it is, I think, so intellectual, the background things going on in the filmmaking, I feel like as I pick it apart and watch it more, I would just get more out of it. So, unfortunately, it's not, for me, it's not in that Slay territory like a movie 43. It's more, it's like, yeah,
exactly. Mike,
it's like my goal is just to ruin Mike's life. So I also had written down before Colton said it an okay. So I feel like, I'm sure I'll get the angry messages from like Willows and maybe even Mike afterwards, just scolding me as a friend.
Yeah, it's expected from me.
Yeah,
and it's not expected from
I know.
you, so.
I will say, like, in my booklet, it has written okay/yay. Like, I was like on that borderline, and I feel like the more I watch it, the more it would come up. Now that Mike has informed me there is a 4K of this, I am very interested in purchasing a 4K of this, because
there's actually two.
Oh, is there? Perfect.
Yeah, there's the Criterion, and there is a, I think it's...
I'll have to get the Criterion. I mean,
yeah, I happened to watch
Studio Canal or something, yeah.
Yeah, I watched the rip.
The Criterion
of the
you need
4K.
to get because it has the Laura Mulvey commentary on it.
Yeah.
And so I watched the rip of the 4K Criterion, and it kind of got stuck buffering at one point, and it changed the audio to the commentary version for a second.
Oh, hilarious.
And it was like for literally like 10 seconds of a scene. With the mother in the room with him, it was like she was explaining like the importance of the scene. I was like, no, like back to the other audio version. What am I doing here? But yeah, like once again,
so funny.
Visually, it looked really good.
Yeah,
like,
I think
beautiful.
This would look absolutely gorgeous on a 4K, and I watched this on Prime. This was on Amazon Prime, and kind of like Jill, I'm cheap. I don't have Amazon Prime with no ads. No, I'm saying I'm not paying for the no ads.
Yeah, no, same. I am cheap.
She's £2, everybody. £2.
£2.
Yeah. So there was commercials in it, and that didn't help whatsoever. So I'm going to land on okay. So a slay, a yay, and 2 okays. I'm not going to say this time this lands probably where it should land because...
No, you'll be attacked.
I looked at Letterboxd. Everybody gives this, this is... The people that give this an okay are the people that give 5 stars to the movie 43. And...
don't put me in those sorts of people. Come on.
So we told you what we thought about the film, and we asked you, and we did have an answer come in. So we had G.Y. Lee write in. I never know if it's like supposed to be Guy Lee or Gee Lee. I just say G.Y. because it's 2 capitals together. So they've never corrected me, so I'm sure that's fine. But they wrote in and said... Slay. It's one of those psychological horror films that is ahead of its time and setting the genre standard. So, yeah.
Basically what Mike was saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's Mike's burner account. And it's just all his... Not only
don't out me.
Not only is it his opinion, but he also was like, let's make a name that Rowan can never fully figure out what's going on.
Oh, if I was going to make an account, I would literally troll the shit out of you in every way possible. I would use so many words that I knew you'd mispronounce. Like, yeah.
That's a great idea.
So the other person that wrote in, I'm kind of going to wait because... Willow did write in, but I do know there might be a little Willow surprise on the Horrific Hotline. So if there's something she didn't say and it's said there, I will say what she wrote, but it was just like a quick thing. But before we get to the Horrific Hotline, I did want to mention Horrorhound Holly P wrote us about Leprechaun Back to the Hood.
Oh, good.
Oh,
okay.
She's like gonna rake us over the coals, I'm sure.
So
why did you do this to me again?
I'm going to keep it like somewhat vague because she inboxed this to us, but I think it's a good, I'm sure she won't mind some of it being out. So she had a medical procedure this week. Hopefully that went well for you. She said it was a minor medical procedure.
Get well soon, Holly.
Yeah, get well soon. Hopefully everything went well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She said she had just finished listening to the episode on Leprechaun Back to the Hood and wanted to inform us that Thursday, so it's already passed, this Thursday that passed, when she was out of action, just laying up, getting healthy, she was going to put on Leprechaun #1 for the first time.
Oh.
And she's going to say from that, she's going to see where it goes, if she goes any further.
Okay.
But she is going to start at #1. And then she also echoed Nicholas and just said, Colton, if you're in Berlin again, that she expects a message.
I didn't know both of these people were in
Yes.
Berlin. Like, I don't know. I should have put out the call, clearly. It makes me feel bad.
Yeah, and I mean, Colton explained why he didn't do it. I'll let you, Nicholas and, Holly, I'll let you know, Colton did text us after and was like, I don't want to meet these people. Like, screw them. Like,
God,
yeah.
I can't believe you put me on blast like
He
that.
won't even say hi to Mike in a theater, so...
Those are supposed to be all kept confidential between just us.
Yeah,
Come on
I'm sorry.
But I mean, if I've ignored Mike in the theater, I mean, I probably have. But the theater to me is like a sacred space. I don't fucking interact with anybody. So
it's a sacred space. He doesn't want it tainted by me.
Even if you're big time film critic Willow, if you happen to be in the same screening as me, I don't go out of my way, I guess, to say hello to anybody. So
yeah, well, cool.
I don't even say hello to people I work with. Like, there's people I
like
work
gang
with.
Jumped or something.
Yeah, you just say they eat people to their face.
Listen, I go to movies by myself all the time. It's a little bit of a loser thing to do, to go see movies by yourself. I don't want to be.
I love it.
I don't want to be chatting with people. They're like, Colton's here all by his lonesome. I'm there by my lonesome. Lots of times, just chilling. Just...
We'll know what kind of drama there is next time Colton's in the theater and Willow just yells at him, says, heard you were talking shit about Peeping Tom, and then just goes after him.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch my back.
Yeah, you got to. So with that, we're going to go over to the Horrific Hotline where we have 2 voicemails. You know what? Let's start with Willow, since I already spoiled that Willow may have left one.
Hello, it's Slay's gang. This is Willow. Mike actually invited me to be on this podcast, but I wasn't able to join because I was busy with work. But I just wanted to call in and say that Peeping Tom is a masterpiece, and I hope that all of you enjoyed it. But just in case you didn't, I want to
Scold
make
us.
my case for it by reading something that I wrote a couple of years ago on the movie that I wrote for my horror column, which basically lays out why I think it's a masterpiece. I'm doing this because Mike was worried that the group wouldn't enjoy the picture as much as he does and as much as I do.
He knows
so
us
I
so
just want
well.
to back Mike up by reading this. Okay. The twin element of Michael Powell's Peeping Tom and Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho forever altered the trajectory of horror films. With these two movies, horror was taken out of the castles and was now teeming with the uncomfortable psychology of the modern world. Val Lewton's gloomy World War II horror pictures preceded them, but these two films pulled critics and audiences into a new realm of discomfort by empathizing with serial killers. Hitchcock's success in Hollywood would continue, but Peeping Tom cost Michael Powell his career in Britain. The difference between the films is thus. Psycho was an aberration, and the Bates Motel was characterized as an abysmal, haunted place one wouldn't likely stumble into. But Peeping Tom's depiction of murder and rot was on the streets, in the corner shops, and at the posts. It was right at the doorstep of the viewer, and Powell literalized his murderer by making him a cameraman, ultimately rechristening cinema as a weapon of violence foisted upon characters due to his gaze and that of the audience. Mark Lewis is a cameraman, and he is in pursuit of the perfect image of fear. Peeping Tom begins with as powerful a statement of intent as the horror genre has ever seen. From the perspective of Lewis's viewfinder on his camera, he picks up Dora, a sex worker, and we literally gaze at her as we follow her up the street in a POV shot. She has an acidic,
woman of the
sardonic
night, as we
quality
keep
when
saying.
she tells him her price. She seems worn out and forgotten by the world at large. She's
You love that
intentionally
phrase.
rough around the edges, which is juxtaposed to a severe degree with the beauty of the technicolor cinematography. Even when capturing dingy areas, there is a lush, rich expression in the color palette, which makes the following sequence all the more disquieting. Lewis takes his camera, and it moves in closer and closer, and Dora is frozen with intense fear as her expression reaches further into madness with the clarity of what's about to happen. What we can't see in this opening section is that attached to the front leg of the tripod is a sharp blade, which is plunged into her body, killing her in the process. Lewis's filmmaking technique demands groundbreaking technological advancement. Upon filming these sequences of murder, he retreats back to his darkroom to watch what he has filmed, and he is always left dissatisfied with the results. Serial killers tend to fail when attempting to satiate their urges. Lewis's work lacks the vitality of great films because they fail to have replay value for him. They are not like the films his father made of him when he was a boy, which documented the ways in which he was abused by his patriarch, and it must be said that his father is played by Michael Powell, the director. Those films are eternally captivating for Lewis. We see him rewatching those pictures more than his own work. He even shows his neighbor and potential love interest, Helen, these radical home movies. She's charmed, but then shocked by what she is seeing. And Lewis doesn't quite understand what's so strange about a father throwing a lizard on a boy in the dead of night and filming his frightened reaction. For him,
We didn't
it's
talk
normal.
about that scene, by
It's
the way,
just
but-
home
Yeah.
movies.
Crazy.
For him,
That's
cinema
normal behavior
is
for a
that
father.
wonderful thing. To be obsessed with cinema is to substitute aspects of your own life in search of the profound, and it is this quality which ties together both filmmakers and cinephiles. The great filmmaker Martin Scorsese said of Peeping Tom that it was indicative of the true meaning of filmmaking, alongside Federico Fellini's 8.5, which showcased beauty, while Peeping Tom showcased the aggression of the art form, and how the camera has the power to violate. He said that by studying these two pictures, anyone can understand the nature of people who express themselves through films. Michael Powell spoke of the serial killer in Peeping Tom. For me, he wasn't a diabolical murderer. He was just a cameraman. There are some cultures that believe that when taking someone's picture, it's akin to stealing their soul. And when watching a film like Peeping Tom, I am left to wonder if there is something equally insidious about the voyeur who wishes to feast on such depictions of human behavior in horror cinema. Cinema offers viewers an antidote to the loneliness that is inherent in the self by fooling the viewer into believing they are interacting with others through the phantasm of imagery and narrative. Peeping Tom is an empathy machine turned inside out, where the viewer is treated as a principled figure of equal monstrosity by nature of the mechanics of our participation in the act of watching. Powell wanted to call the film Le Cinéaste in France, and that is revealing in its own right about the growing phenomenon of watching, and how movies were starting to comment on themselves and the viewers who came to the pictures. I love this movie. For me, it is a sleigh all day long. It's one of the greatest horror films ever made. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you don't, well, as Mike would say, you have no taste. But seriously, I love all of you. I hope that you enjoyed the movie. See ya.
Love you, Willow.
I just think she
funny.
failed to mention, about the possibility of a nice cinematic universe of Peeping Mom coming out after this. Just missing something, I would say.
I know. Do you think that, like, because his career got ruined, he made that film and it's just sitting in, like, a box somewhere?
Well, what was interesting about it is you guys were talking about, like, that was so clear in the text of the movie that, like, she was kind of, like, into it or whatnot. And I didn't get that from the scene at all. So, like, once again, those are, like, things where if I were to rewatch this or, like, to watch a video critiquing it or, like, mentioning it, like, those are just things I didn't pick up on until you guys were talking about it, right? So, I mean, it is definitely the way you guys explained it. I can see that that's there. It's just, you don't always pick it up for yourself just watching it on your couch in the middle of the afternoon on a Sunday. But
fair.
Is it bad that all I could think about was that scene from Don't Be a Menace when you're drinking your juice in the hood, where he's telling the story about like his first time having sex with a girl, and then the mom comes in and the kink, and the dad's like, I hope you got her number, and he's like, the girl, and she's like, hell nah, the mama, she's the freak. And I'm like, maybe that was the issue. Maybe Mark needed to get with the mama, not Helen.
Oh, maybe
the mom was who he was meant to be with.
Anything else to say about Willow's voice message, or or she's basically expecting us just to disappoint her and not comment on it, I would assume. But
at least she knows us well. Like I said, that was basically, she just wrote that it was a sleigh to her, and that's all she wrote. The only thing she said that she didn't say in the voicemail, she just wrote that basically him being banned in England would be like the equivalent of Spielberg being banned in America because of how famous he was for his other movies.
Yeah, and that's the sort of stuff, like, obviously, like, Willow's incredibly well watched. She's watched, like, everything. It's the sort of stuff for me, like, any of the historical nuance or reasoning or kind of setting up the movies before going into me, it's completely lost on me because I'm not seeing it in any sort of, like, kind of educational way, like an academic viewing. It's like, watching this movie with probably the full scope of what was happening in his career at the time, what happened after, and as all the different reasons as to why people, like, revere this movie, it probably does change your viewing. It's just, for me, it's like I oftentimes don't read about the movies like that we're doing at all until after I've seen them. And even in recent years, I've kind of even just ran out of time of doing that. so oftentimes I'm just watching, they come as they are, and I watch them, and, is it as good as Talk to Me? I don't know, That's the way it winds up being with me now.
Is it as good as Gothica? I really don't know. But
God, we got to go back to our Gothica reviews. That'll be a damning side by side. That's for sure.
Listen, I have Gothica on VHS now, so I'm
There we go.
That changed my opinion.
So let's kick it on over. Nicholas left a voicemail, and we'll see what Nicholas has to say.
Okay, so Peeping Tom is probably just like Night of the Living Dead, which you covered a few weeks ago, one of the most influential or most important horror movies from the 60s, I'd guess. And
he's gonna hate us.
While it did not have the impact Psycho did in the same year, I think it is, well, probably just as important, especially for like the slasher movies, because I can see so many influences from the movie in other movies, just starting by, for example, Black Christmas and Halloween, who do the POV shot that is also used in Peeping Tom. And just overall, this is a really interesting movie to watch. I don't think I loved the movie. I did watch it as a teenager once, and as a teenager, I found it really boring. And rewatching it now, it really grew on me. So I did enjoy it much more because, unlike my 14-year-old self, I don't need a bunch of gore in a movie to make it entertaining for me. And it hasn't. It's similar to, for example, Psycho or Halloween, where there are murders in the movie, but it's not bloody, it's not violent, it's more the atmosphere. And we have this really interesting character at the center of the movie. Though for me personally, after watching it, I'm going to give the movie a yay. It's entertaining, it is interesting, and it's really cool to look at it through a modern lens and see how this movie influenced so many other movies that came after it. However, I do want to say that probably just like Night of the Living Dead, in the sense of everything it achieved and everything this movie, was formed into afterwards, it should be for the horror community probably closer to a Slay, to be honest. And it's really sad that this movie kind of got overshadowed by Psycho, which, I'm going to be honest, even though it is black-white, or maybe because it is black-white, is my preferred movie of those two. I'd rather watch Psycho again than Peeping Tom. However, it's a close race. So Peeping Tom is a really good movie, and I'm really happy that you picked that to bring me out of my leprechaun back to the hood slump that you put me in last time.
Not the leprechaun shade.
Well, thanks to Mike for bringing Nicholas out of his leprechaun depression. Just a tough watch. With what he was saying there, we didn't talk about actually like the POV, like how obvious like that was used afterwards in like Halloween or Friday the 13th or any of these sorts of movies. Yeah, obviously incredibly influential. Even though we didn't talk about it in the main discussion, I think that's something that we all obviously recognize as soon as you started the movie. It's impossible to recognize, but worth mentioning. For sure. And yeah, like kind of what he was talking about, where this is one of those movies that should be held in really high regard. There's like kind of this discussion that kind of the importance of the movie, like for me, it's just like I'm trying to watch it just as like entertainment and where I land on it, right? Like on the movie. Like obviously a lot of people revere this movie and it's important for a lot of different like horror genres and where things developed. It's just you don't see that full scale until you do some research on your own afterwards or recognize something just like the POV shot as you're watching it. But if you want to be like Nicholas and leave us a voicemail, you can do so by sending it to us at itslayspodcast@gmail.com or sending it to us on any of our socials at itslayspodcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Slasher, Letterboxd, Threads, Bluesky, TikTok. If there's a social media, we're probably there at itslayspodcast. And if you want to help support the show financially, like our horror hounds Holly, Nicholas, Mark, Steven, Dan, Brian, Trevor, OG James, and Philip, still going to take a minute to get used to that. Gain access to the Patreon exclusive show, Stream Screams, hosted by Jill, and get episodes of the main show 48 hours early. Be sure to head on over to patreon.com/itslayspodcast and choose whatever tier works best for you. Music. I don't think we discussed music at all when it comes to this movie, but Rowan, was there anything that stood out to you that should make the playlist?
I feel like I'll have to take a listen around. Nothing really spoke to me in it.
Mike, was there anything iconic that we missed in like the score and whatnot, like as someone who's just more familiar with the movie? Like, is that an aspect of this movie that stands out to you?
Not really.
Yeah.
I actually wrote just several notes like, oh my God, I love this like bossa nova music. Like, too bad she's about to die,
Yeah.
It's just great for dancing, obviously.
Yeah, it's not like the Psycho like shower. Nothing.
No.
That we can.
No, definitely not.
On.
It's just like there was definitely some really vibey music going on there.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, but you can go over to the It Slays Podcast Horrific playlist on Spotify. If you have any problems finding it, you can go to any of the social media that Colton just mentioned, go into the bio, click the Linktree link, and there's a button that'll take you directly there. We upload scores or licensed music from iconic horror movies we review, or just horror movies we love. We update it regularly, so get your spooky music on, because why the hell not? And all that is left is to announce the upcoming episode, and it is a Jill pick. We are back on Jill. Jill, What are you gonna make us eyeball for next episode?
Well, it's tradition around here, and it's been a while since I've kept the tradition going, but it's the final pin in this trilogy. So we are going to be watching Ginger Snaps Back, the beginning, or Ginger Snaps 3, and we might
All right, goodbye, everybody. Have a good night.
Willow will be coming, I think. So, well, if she can make it, she'll be here. So she couldn't make it for Peeping Tom. Maybe she'll be here for...
That's all right. If she can't make it, I'll
you
have
gotta
a thing
come.
or two to say about the movie anyways.
You better come.
I don't know. I think I'm sick.
I'm going to have
definitely coming down with
diarrhea that
something.
day, he said. What day?
He looks like he has a fever in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm not feeling well.
Oh, no.
So get your eyeballs on Ginger Snaps 3. Is it insane to me that... Did we do the first Troll movie? Yeah, we did the first Troll movie.
We did, yeah. I have nothing that I can pick as revenge.
This will be this will only be, I think, the second franchise that we've closed. I think everything else is open, that we have like tons of stuff to watch. It's just crazy.
We finished the Peeping Tom franchise.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe.
We don't know.
Till Colton puts out Peeping Moms.
There you go, yeah.
There you go. So yeah, get your eyeballs on Ginger Snaps 3, and we will be back in 2 weeks to discuss that. As always, thank you for all the support. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
Thanks for everything. It's Mike.
I'm Colton, and I'm not very happy with that pick, but, here we go.
And I love to torture Colton. Bye, it's Jill.
See you later.